In the heart of the ancient Akkadian Empire, a merchant's relentless journey weaves the threads of commerce that bind cities and kings. But at what cost? Step into a world where every trade is a gamble with bandits, storms, and survival. And discover the unseen hands that fueled a civilization's wealth, only to fade into the dust of its markets. Story 1. The Miserable Life of a Pyramid. Builder, imagine yourself waking before dawn in the shadow of the Great Plateau at Giza, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of Nile mud and the faint. You are one of the thousands of workers tasked with constructing the eternal resting place for Pharaoh Khufu, a monument that will pierce the sky and defy the sands of time. But your life is not one of glory or divine favor. It is a relentless cycle of labor, bound by the rhythms of the river and the unyielding demands of the overseers. This is the world of the pyramid builders in ancient Egypt around 2580 BC, during the 4th dynasty, a time when the Old Kingdom flourished. Yet the backbone of its grandeur rested on the bent shoulders of ordinary men like you. Your day begins in the workers' village, a sprawling settlement of mud brick barracks huddled near the construction site. These are not the opulent palaces of Thebes or Memphis, but cramped dormitories where families or gangs of laborers share space on reed mats laid over packed earth floors. The walls, baked under the relentless sun, offer little respite from the heat that builds as the day progresses. You rise with the first calls from the scribes, who tally the workforce and assign tasks. Breakfast is simple: a loaf of emmer wheat bread, perhaps flavored with onions or garlic, washed down with beer brewed from barley. This staple drink, thick and nourishing, sustains you through the hours ahead, though it often leaves a gritty residue in your mouth, a reminder of the Nile's silt that fertilizes the fields from which it comes. As you join your team, perhaps a group of 20 men from your village, you shoulder your tools, copper chisels, wooden mallets, and levers fashioned from acacia wood. The journey to the pyramid ramps is short but arduous, trudging through dust that clings to your skin like a second layer. The work itself is divided into specialized roles, reflecting the organized hierarchy of Egyptian society. If you are a quarryman, you descend into the limestone pits at Tura or Aswan, where the sun beats down mercilessly and the air shimmers with heat. Here, you wedge and pry massive blocks, each weighing several tons, using nothing but muscle and ingenuity. The stone is hard, unyielding. Your hands blister and callous over time, and accidents are common: slipped tools leading to crushed fingers or broken limbs. For those on the ramps, the task is to haul these blocks up inclines built of mud and rubble. Using sledges lubricated with water to reduce friction, you pull in unison, ropes biting into your shoulders, chanting rhythms passed down through generations to synchronize the effort. The overseers, armed with papyrus scrolls and measuring rods, bark orders, ensuring quotas are met. Yet, this is no slave labor, as later myths might suggest. You are a skilled worker, paid in rations of grain, cloth, and occasionally meat, beef from the royal herds or fish from the river. Archaeological evidence from sites like the Hait El Garab village reveals bakeries churning out thousands of loaves daily, breweries producing vats of beer, and even medical facilities where broken bones were set with splints and herbal poultices applied to wounds. Still, the misery lies in the details that grind away at your spirit. The Nile's annual flood dictates the schedule. During inundation, when fields are underwater, farmers like you are conscripted for 3-month stints, leaving families behind in distant villages. The heat is oppressive, reaching over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and dehydration is a constant threat despite water bearers circulating with jars. Dust storms whip across the plateau, stinging your eyes and filling your lungs, while insects swarm in the evenings. Your clothing, a simple linen kiltifers, scant protection, and sunburn or heatstroke claims the unwary. Meals break the monotony. Midday brings more bread, perhaps supplemented with lentils, dates, or salted fish, eaten in the shade of makeshift awnings. Conversation turns to home, to the gods who watch over Upata, the craftsman deity, or Osiris, promising resurrection, but complaints are whispered. For loyalty to the pharaoh is paramount. Evenings bring a brief reprieve. Back in the barracks, you gather around fires to share stories or play Senate, a board game of strategy that mirrors the uncertainties of life. Families, if permitted, join you. Wives prepare meals in communal kitchens. Children play in the dust. Yet sleep is fitful, interrupted by the aches of the day and the knowledge that tomorrow repeats it all. The pyramid rises slowly, layer by layer, a testament to collective endurance, but at what cost to the individual? As the sun sets on another grueling day, you wonder, how much longer can this body endure before the monument claims it entirely? As you stand amidst the clamor of Giza's construction site, the half-built pyramid looms over you, its limestone blocks gleaming under the midday sun. The work never ceases, and your role in this monumental endeavor continues to shape your days, binding you to a rhythm dictated by stone and sweat. The year is still around 2580 BCE, and Pharaoh Khufu's grand vision is taking form. But for you, the reality is an unyielding grind that tests both body and spirit. The unresolved question from your last shift lingers: how much more can you endure? The answer lies in the intricate systems that sustain this massive undertaking. Systems that reveal both the ingenuity and the burdens of ancient Egyptian society. Your team is part of a larger workforce, estimated by archaeologists to number between 20,000 and 40,000, organized into crews of about 2,000 men, further divided into gangs of 20. Each group has a name, often invoking the pharaoh or a deity. Yours might be friends of Khufu or servants of Horus. This structure fosters camaraderie but also competition, as overseers reward efficient teams with extra rations or rest days. Your gang's task today is hauling blocks up the ramp, a sloping structure of mud brick and limestone chips that zigzags up the pyramid's side. The ramps, marvels of engineering, are temporary but critical, rebuilt as the pyramid grows taller. You've heard tales of men crushed when ramps collapsed under the weight of stone or haste, a grim reminder of the stakes. The blocks themselves are a study in precision. Quarrymen at Tura, across the Nile, cut limestone with such care that blocks fit together with gaps less than a 50th of an inch, as later measurements would confirm. Your job is to ensure these stones reach their place, a process requiring coordination and brute strength. You wrap ropes around a sledge, pour water to ease its slide, and pull in sync with your crew, muscles straining against the weight. The chants you sing rhythmic calls to the gods or simple work songs help maintain pace, but the effort leaves you breathless, sweat stinging your eyes. The overseers stationed along the ramp note progress on papyrus, their tallies determining whether your team meets its quota or faces reduced rations. Life in the workers' village offers glimpses of resilience amid hardship. Excavations at Giza reveal a complex settlement, bakeries producing thousands of loaves daily, breweries fermenting barley into beer, and even a fish processing area where Nile perch were salted for distribution. Your diet, though monotonous, is calorie-rich, designed to fuel labor. A typical meal includes bread, beer, and occasionally vegetables like onions or leeks, with meat reserved for festivals or rewards. Medical care, surprisingly advanced, is available. Skeletal remains show evidence of set fractures and even rudimentary surgeries like trepanation to relieve skull pressure. Yet, the physical toll is undeniable. Osteological studies of worker cemeteries reveal arthritis, spinal degeneration, and shortened lifespans. Most men die in their 30s or 40s. Worn out by labor. Social bonds keep you grounded. After work, you gather with your gang, sharing stories of home or gossip about the royal court. Some men carve small amulets from limestone scraps, offerings to Hathor for strength or Base for protection. Women and children, if present, bring warmth to the evenings. Though many workers are separated from families, conscripted from villages during the Nile's flood season, letters scratched on potsherds found by archaeologists reveal pleas for news from home or requests for supplies, cloth, sandals, or dried fish. These fragments of communication highlight a universal human need for connection. Even in this harsh environment, the pyramid's purpose weighs heavily on you. It is not just a tomb, but a divine conduit, ensuring Khufu's journey to the afterlife and Egypt's stability. You're told your labor honors the gods, yet the cost is personal. Dust clogs your lungs, your hands bleed from rope burns, and the relentless sun saps your strength. As night falls, you lie on your mat, the distant chants of priests echoing from the worksite. The Great Pyramid of Khufu stands nearly complete, its limestone casing polished to a mirror-like sheen, catching the sun's rays as a beacon of divine power. You, a laborer in this vast enterprise around 2580 BCE, have spent months, perhaps years, hauling stones, enduring heat, and navigating the relentless pace of Giza's construction site. The question that haunted you last, what will this monument mean when your name is forgotten, lingers as you approach the final stages of this colossal task. Now, as the pyramid nears its apex, your role shifts, and the culmination of your toil reveals both the grandeur and the quiet human cost of this eternal monument. Your days now involve finer work, smoothing the outer casing stones or assisting in the placement of the capstone, a moment of high ceremony. The capstone, likely gilded with electrum, is hoisted with ropes and levers in a ritual attended by priests chanting to Ra. You stand among your crew, sweat-soaked and weary, watching this crowning act. The precision of the pyramid's alignment at sides, oriented to the cardinal points with astonishing accuracy, reflects the skill of surveyors and astronomers. But it's your hands that have made it possible. Archaeological evidence suggests the workforce, including men like you, was not enslaved but conscripted, paid in rations, and organized with remarkable efficiency. Yet, the physical toll is etched into your body. Aching joints, scarred hands, and a persistent cough from years of inhaling limestone dust. Life in the workers' village begins to wind down as the project nears completion. The bakeries and breweries still operate, but the urgency of quotas eases slightly. You share meals of bread, lentils, and occasional goat meat with your gang, reminiscing about the seasons spent here. The village, excavated centuries later, reveals a community of resilience, graffiti on walls, gaming pieces for Sanat, and even a small shrine to Hathor, where you might have left offerings for strength. Some workers return to their villages, their service complete, while others, like you, stay for maintenance tasks or smaller pyramids for Khufu's queens. Letters on potsherds found by archaeologists. Mine is worn to threads. One reads, a poignant echo of your own longing for home. The pyramid's completion is not just a physical achievement, but a spiritual one, meant to secure Khufu's divinity and Egypt's prosperity. Yet, your role in this cosmic narrative feels distant. The priests speak of immortality, but it's the pharaohs, not yours. Skeletal remains from Giza's worker cemeteries show lives cut short, average lifespans, barely reaching 40, with signs of arthritis and vertebral stress. You wonder if your labor will be remembered, or if you'll fade into the anonymity of the sands. Some of your comrades are buried in modest tombs nearby, their graves marked with simple stele, a small dignity for their sacrifice. As you walk away from the finished pyramid, its shadow stretching across the plateau, you feel a mix of pride and exhaustion. The monument will stand for millennia, a testament to human ingenuity and endurance, but at a cost. Modern reflections on the pyramids often marvel at their scale, yet rarely dwell on the ordinary lives like yours that built them. The Great Pyramid, still standing in 2025, draws millions to ponder its mysteries. But few consider the calloused hands or the fleeting moments of camaraderie that shaped it. Your story, buried in the dust, reminds us that history's greatest achievements often rest on the uncelebrated struggles of the many. What legacy does your labor leave when the world remembers only the stone and not the hands that placed it? Story to the drudgery of a Sumerian farmer. Picture yourself rising with the first light in the fertile plains of Sumer. Around 3000 BCE, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers cradle the land that birthed civilization. You are a farmer in the city-state of Uruk, one of the earliest urban centers in Mesopotamia, tasked with coaxing life from the soil to feed a growing population. Your existence is tied to the land, its rhythms, and the whims of the gods. But the daily grind is far from divine. The work is relentless, shaped by the muddy fields, unpredictable floods, and the constant demands of the temple and palace elites. This is the life of a Sumerian farmer, where survival hinges on your ability to navigate nature and society's rigid hierarchy. Your home is a modest mud brick house, its thick walls offering some relief from the scorching Mesopotamian sun. The floor is packed earth, swept clean by your wife or children. And your possessions are few. Reed mats for sleeping, clay pots for cooking, and a few tools, wooden hoes, sickles with flint blades, and baskets woven from river reeds. Dawn breaks, and you head to the fields, a patchwork of irrigated plots fed by canals, dug by communal labor. Breakfast is a hasty affair. Barley flatbread, perhaps with a smear of date paste, and water drawn from the canal, cloudy with silt. The air smells of damp earth and decaying reeds, a constant reminder of the river's life-giving, yet treacherous presence. Your work revolves around the barley and immer, wheat, that sustain Uruk, the fields, leased from the temple or a wealthy landowner, demand your constant attention. You begin by checking the irrigation channels, ensuring the sluice gates' simple wooden boards allow just enough water to flood the plots without drowning the crops. Too little water and the plants wither. Too much and the roots rot. The canals, vital to Sumer's agriculture, are a collective responsibility, and you join neighbors to dredge them, scooping out mud with baskets under the watchful eye of a temple overseer. This labor, often unpaid, is your duty to the gods who own the land in name. Planting is backbreaking. You scatter seeds by hand, then drive a wooden plow pulled by oxen through the sticky soil, your feet sinking into the mud. The plow, a simple wedge, turns the earth but often jams, requiring you to pause and clear it. The sun climbs, and sweat stings your eyes. Your linen kilt, caked with dirt, chafes your skin. By midday, you rest under a palm frond, lean-to, sharing bread and bira, thick fermented drink made from barley, with your fellow farmers. Conversation turns to the harvest, the tax collectors, or rumors of bandits raiding distant fields. The temple demands a portion of your yield, recorded by scribes on clay tablets, and failure to meet quotas could mean debt or loss of your plot. Archaeological finds, like cuneiform tablets from Uruk, reveal a complex economy where farmers like you were the backbone, yet rarely reaped the rewards. Your surplus grain feeds priests. The gods, invoked in every task, feel distantina for fertility, Enlil for storms, yet their temples dominate the skyline. As evening falls, you trudge home, body aching, to a meal of barley porridge and onions. Sleep comes quickly, but the worry persists. Will the next flood destroy your fields? Or will the gods finally grant a bountiful harvest? What does it mean to toil for a civilization that thrives on your labor, yet offers so little in return? The question of what your labor means in the grand tapestry of Sumer's civilization gnaws at you as you work the fields of Uruk. Around 3000 BCE, the barley is sprouting now, green shoots piercing the dark soil. But your days remain a cycle of toil under the unforgiving Mesopotamian sun. The city-state hums with activity, artisans crafting pottery, scribes etching cuneiform, priests offering sacrifices. But it's your grain that fuels this machine, and the weight of that responsibility is matched only by the burdens you carry. Your life as a Sumerian farmer is not just about coaxing crops from the earth. It's about navigating a web of social obligations, environmental challenges, and the ever-present threat of scarcity. Your mornings begin with the same ritual, inspecting the irrigation canals that crisscross the fields like veins. The Tigris and Euphrates are fickle benefactors, their floods unpredictable. you and your neighbors maintain the canals, a task enforced by the temple, which claims divine authority over the land. Dredging mud or repairing breaches is grueling, your hands blistered from gripping wooden shovels. The overseer, a scribe with a clay tablet, records your contributions, and any shirking risks a fine or extra labor. Cuneiform records from the period show detailed accounts of canal work, with penalties for those who neglect their duties, underscoring the communal effort required to keep Sumer's fields fertile. Once the canals are secure, you turn to the crops. Weeding is a constant battle, as wild grasses compete with your barley and wheat. You crouch for hours, pulling weeds by hand, your back aching under the sun's glare. The soil, rich from river silt, is both a blessing and a curse, yields well, but demands endless maintenance. You check for pests, like locusts, which can devastate a field in hours. If the gods are kind, you might apply a mixture of ash and water to deter insects, a trick passed down through generations. Lunch is a brief respite, more barley bread, perhaps with a handful of dates or a sip of sour beer, shared with your family or fellow farmers under a tamarisk tree's scant shade. The temple looms large in your life. Its ziggurat, a stepped tower of mud brick, dominates Uruk's skyline, a reminder of the god's power and the priest's influence. You owe a portion of your harvest as a tithe, often a third or more, recorded meticulously by scribes. These records, found in archaeological digs, reveal a sophisticated bureaucracy. Tablets list grain deliveries, debts, and even loans of seed or oxen, often at high interest. Failure to pay could mean losing your land, or, worse, becoming a debt slave to the temple or a wealthy landowner. Yet, the temple also provides distributing seed grain, tools, or emergency rations during lean years, binding you to its authority. Social life offers small joys. In the evenings, you gather with other farmers, trading stories of past harvests or gossip about the king's campaigns against rival cities like Kish. Your children play nearby, rolling clay balls or mimicking your plowing with sticks. Music drifts from a neighbor's Hausa reed flute or a lyre while your wife prepares a stew of lentils and leeks. Yet, anxiety lingers. The rivers could flood too early, washing away your crops, or fail to flood, leaving the fields parched. As you lie on your reed mat, the stars above seem to mock your fragility, and you wonder, will your labor ever yield enough to secure your family's future? The harvest season has arrived in Uruk around 3000 BCE, and your fields, once green with promise, now ripple with golden barley under the Mesopotamian sun. The question of whether your labor will secure your family's future weighs heavily as you prepare to reap what you've sown. This is the climax of your year as a Sumerian farmer, a moment when months of toil face the judgment of nature and the gods. The outcome will determine not just your survival, but your standing in a society that thrives on your grain, yet offers little security in return. The fields are ready, but the work is far from over, and the stakes have never been higher. You begin the harvest with a sickle, its flint blade sharpened on a river stone. The work is grueling, your arms aching as you cut stalks and bundle them into sheaves. Your family joins you. Children gather stray grains, while your wife helps stack the harvest for threshing. Neighbors work nearby, their songs mingling with the rustle of barley. a communal effort to bring in the crop before storms or pests strike. Threshing follows, where oxen trampled the stalks on a packed turf floor to separate grain from chaff. You winnow by tossing the mix into the air, letting the breeze carry away the chaff, a skill honed over years. The grain is then stored in clay jars or woven baskets, ready for the temple's scribes to assess. The temple's role is inescapable. Scribes arrive, their clay tablets etched with tallies as they calculate your yield. Cuneiform records from Uruk show that farmers like you surrendered up to half their harvest as taxes or rent, leaving barely enough to feed your family and save seed for next season. If the yield is poor due to drought, flood, or locusts, you risk debt, borrowing grain or silver at crippling interest. Archaeological evidence reveals debt contracts that bound farmers to labor or even servitude if repayments failed. Yet, a good harvest might earn you favor. Perhaps extra rations or a small plot to call your own, though such rewards are rare. The physical toll is evident. Your hands are calloused, your back stooped from years of bending over fields. Skeletal remains from Sumerian sites show signs of arthritis and malnutrition, even among farmers who fed the city. Life expectancy hovers around 35, and many of your peers succumb to injury or disease. Still, moments of joy persist. A festival after the harvest, where you share beer and roasted fish, dance to drums, and offer thanks to Inanna. Your children laugh, and for a night the weight of survival lifts. But the cycle will soon restart, plowing, planting, praying for the rivers to behave. As you seal the last jar of grain, you reflect on your place in Uruk's story. Your labor feeds a civilization that builds ziggurats, writes epics, and trades with distant lands. Yet your name will never grace a tablet. The Sumerian legacy cuneiform irrigation, the wheel rests on your uncelebrated efforts. In 2025, scholars marvel at Uruk's innovations, but few dwell on the farmers whose sweat made it possible. Your life, though ordinary, is a thread in the fabric of human progress, a reminder that great societies are built on the quiet resilience of those who toil in the shadows. What does it mean to be the foundation of a civilization that will outlive you, yet never know your name? Story 3: The tedious routine of a Roman aqueduct worker. Imagine waking in the pre-dawn chill of Rome, around 100 CE, as the city hums with the pulse of an empire at its zenith. You are a laborer tasked with maintaining the aqueducts, the arteries that carry fresh water to 1 million inhabitants, their baths, fountains, and fields. Your life is one of repetitive, back-breaking work, essential to Rome's grandeur, yet unnoticed by those who drink from your labor. The aqueducts, marvels of engineering, stretch across hills and valleys, but their upkeep falls to you, a humble worker bound to the dirt and stone of this sprawling system. This is the tedious routine of a Roman aqueduct worker, where survival means mastering the mundane in service of an eternal city. Your home is a cramped insula in the Suburra, a noisy, crowded district of Rome, where mud-brick tenements lean precariously over narrow streets. The air smells of smoke, sweat, and the Tiber's dank silt. You rise early, pulling on a coarse wool tunic and sandals worn thin from rocky paths. Breakfast is a quick bite of barley porridge or bread dipped in olive oil, washed down with pasca. a sour mix of water and vinegar that quenches thirst but leaves a bitter aftertaste. You join your crew at the city's edge, where the aqua marciawan of Rome's 9 aqueduct centers the urban sprawl, its arches towering like silent sentinels. Your work begins with inspection. The aqueducts, some stretching over 50 miles from mountain springs, require constant vigilance. You walk along the stone channels, checking for cracks, leaks, or blockages caused by mineral deposits or debris. The channels, lined with waterproof cement called opus signinum, must remain pristine to ensure water purity. You carry tools iron, crowbars, wooden buckets, and brushes made of reeds to clear silt or scrub algae. The task is monotonous, the sun relentless, and the weight of your tools chafes your shoulders. If a major repair is needed, you haul limestone or volcanic tuff, mixing mortar with ash and lime under the barked orders of a foreman. Roman records, like those of Frontinus, the water commissioner, detail the workforce, slaves, freedmen, and citizens like you, paid in coin or grain. Your wage, a few sesterces daily, buys bread and a bed, but little else. The aqueducts are a public good, funded by the state, yet the labor feels personal, etched into your calloused hands and aching back. You work in teams, sometimes descending into underground conduits, dark and damp, where the air is thick with mold. Accidents are common. Slippery stones lead to falls, and collapsing scaffolds claim lives. Yet, the city depends on you. Without clean water, disease would spread, and Rome's baths, symbols of its civilization, would dry up. Midday brings a break. You share bread, cheese, and dried figs with your crew, swapping stories of the city's gossip or complaints about the patricians who never see your toil. The aqueducts hum, the steady flow of water is a backdrop to your life, a reminder of its necessity. As evening nears, you trudge back to the Subura, the city's lights flickering below. Sleep comes hard, your body worn, and you wonder, does Rome's glory, built on your sweat, ever pause to notice the hands that keep it alive? The question of whether Rome notices your labor lingers as you trudge along the Aqua Marcia's elevated channel, its stone arches casting long shadows over the Campania's rolling hills. It's still 100 CE, and your role as an aqueduct worker defines your days, tethering you to the maintenance of a system that quenches a city's thirst but offers little to ease your own burdens. The routine is unchanging: inspect, clean, repair. Yet each task reveals the delicate balance that keeps Rome alive. Your work, though tedious, is a thread in the empire's fabric, and the deeper you delve into this world, the more you see its complexity and the human cost it exacts. Today's task is clearing a blockage in an underground section of the aqueduct. You descend a narrow shaft, clutching a flickering oil lamp, its light barely piercing the damp darkness. The air is heavy, smelling of wet stone and mildew, and the channel's walls are slick with algae. You scrape away calcium deposits, the result of mineral-rich spring water, using an iron chisel. The work is slow, your movements cramped, and the constant drip of water echoes like a metronome. Your crew, a mix of freedmen and citizens, grumbles about the conditions, but camaraderie keeps spirits afloat. Shared curses or a joke about a foreman's temper lighten the mood. Roman texts, like Frontinus, The aqueduct praise the aqueduct's engineering, but rarely mention the men who crawl through these tunnels outside. Repairs are no less demanding. A cracked arch requires new stone, and you join a team hauling blocks from a nearby quarry. The stones, cut with precision, must be hoisted onto scaffolds, a dangerous task where a misstep could mean a fatal fall. You mix pozzolana, a volcanic ash cement, to seal joints, its gritty texture clinging to your skin. The aqueduct's gradients, sometimes dropping just a few inches per mil, demands exactness, and surveyors, with their groma tools, bark corrections. Your muscles strain, and the sun, unrelenting, burns your neck. Lunch is a brief pause, bread, olives, and a sip of pasca, eaten while perched on a stone ledge. The city's distant roar, a reminder of why you toil. The aqueducts are more than engineering feats. They're a social contract. Your labor ensures water for public baths, like the baths of Trajan and private villas, but also for the poor who queue at public fountains. Yet, inequality is stark. Wealthy elites divert water illegally, as Frontinus noted, while you risk punishment for minor errors. Your pay, meager and irregular, barely covers rent in the Subura, where disease festers in crowded tenements. Archaeological finds worker tools, simple graves, shell lives of toil, with skeletal evidence of repetitive strain injuries and malnutrition. Still, small joys persist. Evenings in a pepina, a cheap tavern where you share wine and dice games, or moments with your family, if you're lucky enough to have them nearby. The aqueduct's flow is your life's rhythm, but its maintenance is a race against time. A single breach could flood fields or starve the city of water. As you climb from the tunnel, your lamp sputtering, you feel the weight of Rome's dependence on your unseen work. The city shines, its marble gleaming, but your hands are caked with grime. As night falls, you wonder, will your efforts ever earn you a place in the city you sustain? Or are you destined to remain its invisible servant? The aqueducts of Rome flow steadily now, their channels cleared and arches repaired, sustaining the city's lifeblood. In 100 CE, a worker on the Aqua Marcia have spent years in this grueling routine, and the question of whether you'll ever find a place in Rome's glory haunts your thoughts. The system is a marvel, miles of stone and cement delivering water to fountains, baths, and fields, but its completion and maintenance rest on your toil. As your work nears a milestone, perhaps a major repair finished or a new branch opened, you stand at the edge of the city, watching water pour into a reservoir, and reflect on what your labor means in the shadow of Rome's splendor. Your final task this season is sealing a refurbished section of the aqueduct. You spread pozzolana cement, smoothing it with a trowel, ensuring no leaks disrupt the flow. The work requires precision. A single flaw could cause erosion, threatening the structure. Your crew celebrates small victories, a cleared blockage, or a reinforced arch, with shared laughter and a rare cup of watered wine. Roman inscriptions, like those on the Aqua Claudia, credit emperors and engineers. But your name, like those of thousands, is absent. Archaeological evidence stools left in conduits. Simple burials reveals the lives of workers like you, skilled yet expendable. With bodies worn by repetitive strain and lifespans often cut short by 40. Life beyond work offers fleeting relief, You return to the Subura, where your insula buzzes with neighbors' chatter and the clatter of carts. A festival, perhaps Saturnalia, brings a day off. You join crowds in the forum, eating honeyed bread and watching jugglers, a brief escape from the grind. Your family, if nearby, shares a meal of lentils and salted fish cooked over a brazier, but the aqueduct's demands are relentless. Winter rains increase leaks, and summer droughts strain water sources, pulling you back to the channels. Frontinus records note the constant need for maintenance, with crews like yours working year-round to prevent collapse or contamination. The aqueduct's impact is undeniable. They enable Rome's baths, like the sprawling baths of Trajan, and irrigate fields that feed the city. Without your work, cholera or dysentery would ravage the population, as seen in later centuries when systems failed. Yet, the city's elite rarely acknowledge your role. Your wages, barely enough for survival, contrast with the wealth of patricians whose villas siphon water unlawfully. Graves of aqueduct workers found near Rome show modest markers, a faint echo of lives spent in service. Your pride lies in knowing the city breathes because of you, but it's a quiet pride, overshadowed by exhaustion as you stand by the reservoir, watching water ripple under moonlight. You feel the weight of your invisible legacy. The aqueducts, still flowing in 2025, are celebrated as engineering triumphs, their arches iconic symbols of Rome's ingenuity. Yet, few pause to consider the hands that scrubbed channels or hauled stones. Your life, though unrecorded, ensured a city's survival, a testament to the unsung resilience that underpins empire. The water flows clear and steady, but your story, like the silt you cleared, settles into obscurity. What does it mean to build a legacy that endures for millennia, yet leaves no trace of the hands that shaped it? Story for the harsh existence of a Bronze Age miner. You wake to the biting chill of dawn in the rugged hills of Timna, a copper mining region in the southern Levant. Around 2000 BCE, the air carries the sharp scent of dust and charcoal, and the distant clang of hammer on stone signals the start of another grueling day. You are a miner, one of many tasked with extracting copper, the lifeblood of the Bronze Age, used for tools, weapons, and trade across Mesopotamia and Egypt. Your life is defined by the dark, claustrophobic tunnels and the unrelenting labor that fuels a burgeoning civilization. This is the harsh existence of a Bronze Age miner, where every swing of your pick is a battle against rock and time. Your home is a temporary encampment near the mines, a cluster of tents woven from goat hair or rough stone shelters. The ground is hard, you're bedding a thin mat of reeds, and your possessions are sparse: a leather water skin, a woolen cloak, and a few flint tools. Breakfast is quick barley flatbread and dried dates, chewed as you trudge to the mine. The landscape is barren, dotted with slag heaps from smelting, and the sun, already climbing, promises a day of oppressive heat. You join your crew, men and women from nearby tribes or conscripted from distant settlements, bound by necessity or debt to this perilous work. The mine itself is a network of low, narrow shafts carved into the sandstone cliffs. You crawl in a flickering oil lamp made of clay casting weak light. The air is thick with dust, stinging your eyes and coating your lungs. Your tools are simple: a flint pick, a wooden mallet, and a basket for hauling, or you chip away at the greenish malachite veins, each strike jarring your arms. The tunnels, some barely wider than your shoulders, force you to work crouched or on your knees. Collapses are a constant fear. Archaeological evidence from Timna shows fractured bones and crushed skulls, testaments to the dangers you face daily. The work is governed by quotas. Overseers, often agents of a local chieftain or Egyptian overseer, tally the ore you extract, their tallies scratched on clay or stone. Copper is precious, traded as far as the Nile Delta, and your labor feeds this network. You're paid in rations, grain, oil, or occasional scraps of meat, sometimes copper ingots, though most goes to the elite. Breaks are brief. You sit outside, sharing bread and water with your crew, the sun scorching your skin. Conversation is sparse, focused on the day's yield or rumors of better work elsewhere. The physical toll is relentless. Your hands blister, your back aches, and the dust you breathe promises a shortened life. Archaeological finds at Timna reveal a workforce of skilled but expendable laborers. Smelting pits, where or was heated with charcoal, dot the landscape, and you sometimes tend these, choking on fumes. The community is tight-knit. Families or tribes work together, sharing tools and knowledge, but life is precarious. Water is scarce, carried from distant springs, and malnutrition is common, as skeletal remains show signs of anemia and stunted growth. As night falls, you return to camp, body aching, to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep is fitful, haunted by the thought, how long can you endure these tunnels before they claim you? The question of how long you can endure the tunnels gnaws at you as you descend into the Timna mines. The year still 2000 BCE, the copper you extract fuels the Bronze Age, forging tools and weapons that define empires. But the cost is carved into your body and spirit. Your days are a relentless cycle of digging, hauling, and smelting. Each task a testament to human endurance in the face of a harsh landscape. The mines of Timna, nestled in the arid hills of the southern Levant, are both your livelihood and your prison. And as you delve deeper into this world, the weight of its demands grows heavier. Today, you're assigned to a smelting crew, a change from the suffocating tunnels, but no less grueling. You gather around a clay furnace, its heat searing your face as you feed it charcoal and crushed malachite, or the process, refined over generations, requires skill to little heat, and the copper won't separate. Too much, and the furnace cracks. You work with bellows, pumping air to stoke the flames, your arms burning with the effort. The fumes sacred and metallic make your eyes water and your throat. Archaeological evidence from Timna shows smelting sites littered with slag, the glassy waste of copper production, and the bones of workers bear traces of lead poisoning. A silent killer you cannot name but feel in your weakening limbs. The camp offers little respite. Your tent, patched and fraying, barely shields you from the desert's extreme scorching days and frigid nights. Water, carried in heavy skins from a distant wadi, is rationed carefully, and you sip sparingly, your mouth perpetually dry. Meals are meager, barley porridge, sometimes mixed with wild herbs, or a rare piece of goat meat from a communal slaughter. You eat with your crew, a mix of locals and conscripts, sharing stories of trade caravans bound for Egypt or tales of the sea people who raid coastal towns. These moments of camaraderie, fleeting as they are, keep despair at bay. The social order is rigid. Overseers, often tied to regional chiefs or Egyptian traders, enforce quotas with threats of reduced rations or lashings. Cuneiform tablets from nearby cultures mention miners as essential but lowly, their labor valued but their lives expendable. You're paid in kind grained cloth or small copper ingots, but much of the ore goes to distant elites, crafting axes or ornaments for palaces you'll never see. Excavations at Timna reveal workshops where copper was shaped into ingots, stamped with marks for trade, a system that enriched others while you toiled. The physical toll mounts. Your hands, scarred from flint tools, tremble after hours of striking rock. Dust from the mines clogs your lungs, and the heat from smelting leaves burns that never fully heal. Skeletal remains from the period show signs of repetitive stress injuries and early mortality, with many miners dying before 40. Yet, small rituals sustain you, a carved stone amulet for protection, offered to a local deity, or a shared song under the stars. As you lie in your tent, the distant howl of a jackal mingles with the crackle of campfires, and you wonder, will this labor ever grant you freedom, or is the mine your only legacy? The copper ingots are piling up in Timna's workshops, their dull green sheen a testament to your labor in 2000 BCE. The question of whether the mine will be your only legacy lingers as you near the end of a mining season, your body worn from months of tunneling and smelting. The Bronze Age thrives on your copper, fueling trade and craftsmanship across the Levant and beyond. But your role is nearing a turning point, perhaps a final haul or a completed furnace. As you stand amid the slag heaps, the harsh existence of a miner comes into sharp focus, revealing both the endurance that defines you and the anonymity that awaits. Your final task this season is loading copper ingots onto a caravan bound for Egypt or Mesopotamia. You stack the heavy, oxide-shaped ingot siege, weighing as much as a small child onto donkey carts, your muscles straining under the load. The process is meticulous. Overseers count each piece, marking tallies on clay tablets to ensure none are stolen. The ingots, excavated centuries later at sites like Timna, bear stamps linking them to distant markets, a reminder that your toil connects you to a vast world, though you'll never see its riches. Your reward is a handful of grain or a scrap of cloth, barely enough to sustain your family through the lean months. Life in the camp is a fragile balance. You share a final meal with your crew, barley stew thickened with lentils, flavored with wild mint around a fire that casts flickering shadows on the sandstone cliffs. Laughter erupts over a story of a clumsy overseer, but the joy is fleeting. The physical toll is undeniable. Your lungs rasp from dust, your joints ache from repetitive blows, and your skin is scarred from burns. Archaeological studies of Timna's worker burials show lives cut short, with skeletons revealing malnutrition, broken bones, and heavy metal poisoning. Many, like you, die before 40, their graves marked only by simple cairns. If at all, the mine's purpose is clear. Copper drives the Bronze Age, forging tools for farmers, weapons for warriors, and ornaments for kings. Yet, your place in this system feels fleeting. The elites who trade your copper live in cities like Ur or Memphis, their lives untouched by the dust and danger you face. Excavations reveal their wealth: copper axes, jewelry, even chariots, while your legacy is the slag you leave behind. Small rituals offer solace. You carve a crude figure of a deity, perhaps Baal, into a rock, praying for strength. At night, your crew sings of home, of rivers and fields far from this desert, a reminder of what you endure for. As you watch the caravan depart, dust rising in its wake, you feel the weight of your contribution. The copper you mined will outlast you, shaping tools that build civilizations. In 2025, Timna's mines are studied as cradles of technology, their tunnels and furnaces marvels of early industry. Yet, the miners' names are lost, their stories buried with their bones. Your life, though harsh, powered an era, a quiet resilience that echoes in every bronze blade. The mines stand silent now, but their legacy endures, built on your uncelebrated hands. What does it mean to fuel a civilization's rise, only to be forgotten in its shadow? Story 5. The monotonous days of an Assyrian scribe. You rise before dawn in the bustling city of Nineveh. Around 700 BCE, where the Assyrian Empire's power radiates from its mud-brick palaces and towering ziggurats. As a scribe, your task is to record the empire's triumphs, taxes, and treaties, etching words onto clay that will outlast you. Your life is one of precision and repetition, a quiet cog in the machinery of a vast, militaristic state. The work is not backbreaking like that of a farmer or miner, but its monotony grinds at your spirit, binding you to stylus and tablet in service of kings and gods. This is the monotonous existence of an Assyrian scribe, where every wedge-shaped mark carries the weight of empire. Your home is a modest room in a scribal quarter near the palace, its walls of sun-baked brick adorned with little more than a reed mat and a low wooden table. The air smells of dust and faintly of sesame oil from a lamp you'll light later. You dress in a simple linen tunic, your fingers already stained with clay from yesterday's work. Breakfast is a hurried affair. Barley bread, a handful of dates, and watered wine, eaten as you gather your tools, a reed stylus, a smoothing stone, and a basket of damp clay tablets. You head to the scriptorium, a shaded courtyard where scribes like you labor under the watchful eye of a master. Scribe. Your day begins with copying records. The king, perhaps Ashurbanipal, demands meticulous accounts of grain stores, tribute from vassal states, or decrees for new conquests. You sit cross-legged on a mat, a soft clay tablet balanced on your knee, and press your stylus into it, forming cuneiform wedges. The script, with its hundreds of signs, requires years of training, and your mind hums with memorized symbols for tax, horse, or god. The work is tedious. A single tablet can take hours, and errors mean scraping the clay smooth to start again. The scriptorium hums with the soft scratch of styluses, broken only by the master's sharp corrections or the distant clamor of the city. Archaeological finds from Nineveh, like the famous library of Ashurbanipal, reveal thousands of tablets, administrative lists, omens, and epics crafted by scribes like you. Your work preserves the empire's order, from tax tallies to hymns for the god Assur. Yet, the role is isolating. You rarely leave the scriptorium, and your status, though respected, is lowly compared to priests or generals. Your pay, in grain or silver, keeps you fed, but not wealthy. Breaks are brief. You share bread and onions with fellow scribes, discussing the latest royal proclamation or gossip about a rival's sloppy script. The clay dust clings to your hands, and your eyes strain in the dim light. The empire's demands never cease. You might copy a letter to a distant governor or record the spoils of a campaign against Elam, each task blending into the next. Your training, begun as a boy, sets you apart, but the repetition dulls your mind. As evening falls, you trudge home, your fingers cramped, and light your lamp to review tomorrow's tasks. The city's grandeur, its walls, its wealth rests on your records. Yet you wonder, does anyone truly see the scribe behind the clay? The question of whether anyone sees the scribe behind the clay lingers as you sit in Nineveh's scriptorium. Around 700 BCE, your stylus poised over a damp tablet. The Assyrian Empire's might depends on your meticulous records. Yet the monotony of your work as a scribe cloaks you in invisibility. Each day blends into the next, a cycle of etching cuneiform, checking tablets, and navigating the demands of a bureaucracy that fuels conquest and devotion. Your role, though cerebral, is as grueling in its own way as any field or mine. And the deeper you immerse in this world, the more its quiet burdens weigh on you today. You're tasked with transcribing a royal chronicle, perhaps detailing King Ashurbanipal's campaign against Babylon. You sit under the scriptorium's awning, the sun's heat softened by shade, and press wedge after wedge into the clay. The text must be flawless. Errors could misrepresent the king's glory or anger the gods. Your training, years spent memorizing signs and reciting epics like Gilgamesh, allows you to work swiftly, but the repetition numbs your mind. Occasionally, you pause to smooth a mistake with a stone. The clay's damp surface, forgiving but time-consuming. The master scribe hovers, his eyes sharp for flaws, his voice quick to chastise. The scriptorium is a hub of activity, yet isolating. Other scribes, hunched over their tablets, record tax lists, omens, or temple inventories, their styluses scratching in unison. You rarely speak beyond necessity, as focus is paramount. Archaeological discoveries, like the thousands of tablets from Nineveh's libraries, show the scope of your work. Contracts, letters, even astronomical observations, all vital to the empire's order. Yet, your name never appears on these tablets, only the king's or the gods'. Your pay grain, oil, or a few silver shekels sustains your family, but the long hours leave little time for them. Lunch is a brief respite, bread, dried fish, and a sip of beer, shared with colleagues who trade quiet complaints about aching wrists or the palace's endless demands. The empire's bureaucracy is a double-edged sword. It elevates your status. Scribes are literate, a rare skill, but binds you to its service. You might draft a treaty for a vassal state, or copy a prayer to Shamash, each task reinforcing Assyria's power. Cuneiform tablets from the period reveal a system where scribes were essential, yet expendable. A mistake could mean demotion or worse. Your eyes strain from squinting at clay, and your fingers cramp from gripping the stylus. Medical texts from the time describe remedies for eye pain or fatigue, but you rely on rest and hope, knowing the work won't wait. Life outside the scriptorium offers small joys. Evenings bring you to your family, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and leeks, and your children play with clay scraps, mimicking your writing. You might visit a temple to offer a clay figurine to Nabu, the god of scribes, praying for clarity. But the empire's shadow looms. War, tribute, and divine will dominate your work and thoughts. As you lie on your mat, the city's hum fading, you wonder, will these tablets, your life's work, ever speak of the hands that shaped them? The tablets pile high in Nineveh's scriptorium, your cuneiform wedges preserving the Assyrian Empire's legacy. In 700 BCE, the question of whether your work will ever speak of the hands that shaped it lingers as you near the completion of a major project, perhaps a set of royal annals or a temple inventory. Your life as a scribe has been one of relentless precision, each day a repetition of stylus on clay. Yet this moment feels like a culmination. The empire thrives on your records, but as you etch your final signs, you reflect on the silent cost of your labor and the mark it leaves on history today. You finish copying a hymn to Assur, the god who sanctifies Assyria's conquests. Your stylus moves with practiced ease, but your eyes ache from years of squinting in dim light, and your fingers, gnarled from gripping the reed, tremble slightly. The tablet, once dried, will join thousands in the palace library, a repository of knowledge that will survive for millennia. Archaeological excavations, like those of Ashurbanipal's library, uncover these tablets' epics laws and lists that define Assyria's grandeur. Yet, your name, like those of countless scribes, is absent. Your labor, a silent foundation for the king's glory. Life in the scribal quarter offers moments of connection. You share a final meal with your colleagues, barley porridge, dates, and a rare piece of roasted lamb to celebrate the project's end. Laughter erupts over a shared memory of a master scribe's outburst, but the joy is tempered by fatigue. Your pay, a modest allocation of grain and silver, supports your family, but the long hours steal time with them. Your children, learning cuneiform in hopes of following your path, mimic your writing on clay scraps, a bittersweet reminder of the cycle you perpetuate. A visit to Nabu's temple, where you offer a small clay tablet as thanks, brings fleeting peace, but the empire's demands more records, more decrees wait. The physical toll is undeniable. Your vision blurs, a common ailment among scribes, and your hands bear the marks of years of pressure. Medical texts from the period prescribe salves for eyes or rest for cramped fingers, but time is a luxury you lack. Cuneiform records show scribes were valued, yet replaceable. A single error could cost your position. Your life expectancy, like many in Nineveh, hovers around 40, worn by stress and sedentary labor. Yet, your work ensures the empire's continuity. Taxes collected, wars recorded, gods appeased. As you seal the final tablet, you stand in the scriptorium's fading light, the city's bustle a distant hum. The tablets you've crafted will outlast you. Their wedges read by scholars in 2025, marveling at Assyria's sophistication. Yet, they'll know nothing of the scribe who sat through endless days, eyes straining, hands aching, to preserve a civilization's voice. Your life, though monotonous, wove the threads of history, a quiet resilience that enabled empires to endure. The clay holds no trace of you, but its endurance is your legacy. What does it mean to shape a civilization's memory, only to vanish from its story? Story 6. The grueling labor of a Persian road builder. You awaken to the faint glow of dawn in the heart of the Persian Empire. Around 500 BCE, near the bustling city of Susa, the air is thick with dust and the scent of sun-baked earth, a reminder of the endless task ahead. As a road builder on the Royal Road, a 1,700-mile lifeline stretching from Sardis to Susa, your work ensures the empire's couriers, armies, and trade flow smoothly under King Darius I. Your life is one of sweat and stone, a relentless grind to maintain the arteries of an empire that spans 3 continents. This is the grueling existence of a Persian road builder, where every stone you lay binds a vast realm but wears down your body. Your home is a temporary camp near the road, a cluster of tents or mud brick huts shared with other laborers, conscripts, prisoners, or locals paid in rations. The ground is hard, your bed a thin reed mat, and your possessions are few: a wool cloak, a leather water skin, and a worn flint knife. Breakfast is sparse barley flatbread and a sip of sour date wine eaten as you trudge to the worksite. The Royal Road, praised by Herodotus for its efficiency, is a marvel of packed gravel and stone, but its maintenance falls to you. You join your crew, a mix of men from Media, Babylon, or local tribes, under the watchful eye of an overseer. Your task today is repairing a stretch of road damaged by floods. You wield simple tools, wooden shovels, stone hammers, and baskets for hauling earth. The work begins with clearing debris, mud, rocks, and broken pavement, your hands blistering under the strain. You then lay fresh gravel, tamping it down with heavy stones, ensuring a smooth surface for royal couriers on horseback. The sun climbs, its heat relentless, and sweat stings your eyes. Your linen tunic, caked with dust, chafes your skin. The road must be level, wide enough for carts, and durable, as it carries everything from tribute to troops marching to quell rebellions. Archaeological evidence, like inscriptions from Persepolis, shows the empire's reliance on laborers like you, often conscripted from subject peoples. Your pay is meager grain oil or occasional meat, but the work is mandatory, tied to imperial decrees. Breaks are brief. You share bread and dried figs with your crew, muttering about harsh overseers or distant wars. The roads, stations, every 15 miles, house couriers and their horses. But you sleep in the open, exposed to wind and cold. Accidents are common. A mishemmed hammer or a collapsing pile of stones can break bones, and medical care is scarce, limited to herbal poultices or splints. The empire's glory rests on your labor. The Royal Road enables messages to travel from Susa to Sardis in days, a feat unmatched in its time. Yet, your role feels invisible, your efforts buried under the feet of passing caravans. As evening falls, you return to camp, body aching, to a meal of lentil stew cooked over a communal fire. Sleep is fitful, the ground unyielding, and you wonder, does the empire, so vast and mighty, ever pause to see the hands that pave its paths? The question of whether the empire sees your hands lingers as you labor on the Royal Road near Susa. Around 500 BCE, the Persian Empire thrives on your work. its couriers speeding along the paths you maintain. Yet your existence as a road builder is one of relentless toil, unnoticed by the kings and satraps who benefit. The road, a marvel stretching from Sardis to the heart of Persia, demands constant care, and each day deepens your connection to its stones and dust. Your life is a cycle of clearing, leveling, and hauling, a testament to endurance in the service of Darius the First's vast dominion. Today, you're tasked with reinforcing a bridge over a dry wadi where seasonal floods have eroded the stone supports. You haul basalt blocks, each heavy enough to strain your back, and set them with mud mortar, your hands raw from gripping rough edges. The bridge, a vital link for caravans, must withstand the weight of oxen and the rush of water when rains come. You work with a team, chanting to synchronize lifting, while an overseer, stylus in hand, records progress on a clay tablet. The sun beats down, and your wool cloak, tied at the waist, traps heat. Sweat mixes with dust, forming a gritty second skin. The road's maintenance is a logistical feat. Archaeological finds, like reliefs from Persepolis, depict workers from across the Empire Bactrians, Ionians, Egyptians, united in labor. You're likely a conscript, bound by tribute labor, though some in your crew are paid with grain or small silver coins. The work is precise. Gravel must be evenly spread, stones aligned to prevent ruts. Mistakes invite punishment-reduced rations or a whip slash. Breaks offer little relief. You share barley cakes and water under a palm's scant shade, trading tales of far-off lands or grumbling about the overseer's demands. The road's relay stations, with their stables and inns, are for travelers, not you. Your nights are spent in the camp's rough tents. The physical toll is relentless. Your shoulders ache from carrying stones, and your knees are bruised from kneeling on gravel. Skeletal remains from Persian worksites show signs of arthritis and fractured bones, with many laborers dying young from exhaustion or injury. Medical care is basic bandages, or herbal salves, and infections are common. Yet, the road binds the empire, enabling armies to march against Greece or India, and tribute to flow to Susa's treasuries. Cuneiform records detail its upkeep, but your name is never etched. Only your output counted. Community sustains you. Evenings bring shared meals, lentil soup, or roasted goat, when rations allow songs of home, sung in languages from across the empire. You might carve a small stone charm for Ahura Mazda, praying for strength, or listen to a comrade's tale of Babylon's markets. But the road's demands never cease. Tomorrow you'll repair another stretch, your labor fading under hoofbeats. As you lie on your mat, the stars above Susa's plains mock your smallness. And you wonder, will this road, stretching beyond your life, ever carry your story to those who walk it? The royal road stretches before you, its gravel surface gleaming under the sun near Susa. Around 500 BCE, the question of whether it will carry your story haunts you as you near the completion of a major repair-widened stretch or a reinforced bridge vital to the Persian Empire's network. Your life as a road builder has been one of unyielding labor. Each stone laid a testament to your endurance under Darius I's rule. As you tamp down the final layer of gravel, you reflect on the empire you sustain and the anonymity that defines your existence. Your task today is finishing the bridge's supports, setting the last basalt stones with precision to ensure stability. You work in rhythm with your crew, lifting blocks to the chant of an old Median work song. Your hands scarred and bleeding from jagged edges. The overseer inspects, nodding approval, and for a moment, you feel pride in the sturdy span that will carry caravans to Persepolis. Archaeological evidence, like stone reliefs from Darius' palaces, shows the road's important scurriers racing with royal decrees, merchants hauling spices, but the laborers' names are absent, their efforts buried in the dust. The camp is quieter now, the season's work nearly done. You share a final meal with your crew, barley stew with wild herbs, a rare treat of goat meter and a crackling fire. Stories flow, a Bactrian's tale of mountain passes, an Egyptian's memory of the Nile. These bonds, forged in toil, offer solace, but the physical toll is stark. Your back is stooped, your joints ache, and dust from years of labor rasps in your lungs. Skeletal remains from Persian sites reveal fractured spines and early deaths. Laborers worn out by 40. Medical care herbal wraps or crude splints does little to ease chronic pain. The road's purpose is clear. It ties the empire together, enabling conquest and commerce. Herodotus marveled at its speed, noting couriers could cross it in days, a feat unmatched until modern times. Your work ensures this, yet the glory goes to kings and satraps. Your rations, grain, oil, sometimes wine, barely sustain your family, and conscription keeps you from them for months. A small offering to Ahura Mazda, a carved stone left at a roadside shrine, is your plea for rest. But the empire's needs are relentless. Tomorrow, another stretch awaits as you stand on the finished bridge, watching a caravan pass, dust swirling under hooves. You feel the weight of your invisible legacy. The royal road, parts still traceable in 2025, is celebrated as a marvel of connectivity. Its stones walked by countless feet, yet the hands that built it tours, scarred and calloused are forgotten. Your life, though grueling, wove the empire's strength, a quiet resilience that enabled Persia's reach. The road endures, but your story, like the gravel you laid, is trodden into silence. What does it mean to build the paths of an empire, only to be lost beneath its travelers' steps? Story 7, the weary vigil of a Greek watchman. You stir in the pre-dawn stillness atop the Acropolis of Athens. Around 450 BCE, where the city's walls stand as a bulwark against threats in the wake of the Persian Wars. As a watchman, your duty is to guard the polis, scanning the horizon for signs of danger, raiders, invaders, or even a stray spark that could ignite the wooden roofs below. Your life is one of endless vigilance, perched in solitude under the stars, your eyes straining against the dark. This is the weary existence of a Greek watchman, where the safety of Athens rests on your uncelebrated watch, a task as vital as it is monotonous. Your post is a simple stone tower, its rough-hewn blocks cold against your back. You sleep on a straw mat wrapped in a woolen cloak that does little to ward off the night's chill. Your possessions are few: a bronze dagger, a leather waterskin, and a clay lamp flickering with olive oil. Dawn is breaking, and you eat a sparse meal, barley bread and a handful of olives before climbing to your lookout. The city below stirs, its agora quiet, but for the clatter of early vendors. The air smells of sea salt and pine from the hills, a faint comfort as you begin your shift. Your task is to watch and signal. You scan the Attic Plain, the distant shimmer of the Saronic Gulf, and the roads leading to Piraeus. Your tools are basic: a horn to sound alarms, a shield to flash signals in sunlight, and your own sharp eyes. The work is repetitive, hours of squinting into the distance, broken only by the occasional merchant caravan or shepherd. Yet the stakes are high. Athens, rebuilding after Xerxes' invasion, cannot afford surprise. Thucydides' accounts of the period highlight the city's reliance on watchmen like you. Though your name never graces the tales of strategoi or poets, you're a citizen, perhaps a veteran of Salamis, paid in drachmae or grain, but the role is lowly, often assigned to those too old or unfit for hoplite ranks. Your watch alternates with others, day and night shifts, stretching your endurance. The solitude is oppressive. Your only company is the wind or the occasional owl, sacred to Athena. Breaks are short. You descend to share bread and watered wine with a fellow watchman, trading rumors of Spartan movements or grumbling about the city's politicians. The physical toll is subtle but real. Your eyes ache, your legs cramp from standing, and the cold seeps into your bones. Archaeological finds, like pottery depicting guards or inscriptions listing civic duties, suggest watchmen were essential but unsung. Athens' walls, still scarred from Persian fires, rely on your vigilance to protect its democracy and temples. Yet, you feel apart from the city's glory, its Parthenon rising while you stand guard. As night falls, you light your lamp, the city's lights twinkling below, and settle into another long watch. The stars wheel above, and you wonder, does Athens, safe in its slumber, ever consider the eyes that keep it so? The question of whether Athens sees your watchful eyes lingers as you stand atop your tower, the night air sharp against your skin. In 450 BCE, the city below thrives, its democracy flourishing under peril. But your role as a watchman on the Acropolis walls binds you to a solitary vigil. The weary routine of scanning the horizon, day or night, is both your duty and your burden, a quiet thread in the fabric of Athens' security. The deeper you delve into this life, the more you feel the weight of its isolation and the unseen toll it takes, even as the polis depends on your unwavering gaze. You're on the graveyard shift, the stars your only companions. You pace the tower's narrow platform, your bronze dagger at your side, more for reassurance than use. The city sleeps, its temples and homes dim under moonlight, but you scan the plains for glints of torchlight or dust clouds signaling riders. Your horn, carved from bone, rests nearby, ready to sound if danger nears. The work is monotonous hours of stillness, broken only by a fox's cry or the distant bark of dogs. Yet the memory of Persian ships at Salamis, recounted by veterans, keeps you alert. A single missed signal could spell disaster. Your life is dictated by the watch's rhythm. Day shifts are no easier, the sun glaring off the sea, straining your eyes as you squint for sails or smoke. You use a polished shield to flash signals to other posts, a system described in later Greek texts as vital for coordination. Your pay, a few drachmae, buys bread and oil, but the role is low status. your service unnoticed by the orators debating in the agora. Archaeological evidence spot sherds with guard rosters shows watchmen like you were organized in shifts, often drawn from lower classes or aging citizens. The physical strain is subtle but real. Your vision blurs from constant focus. Your joints ache from standing, and winter rains chill you to the bone. Breaks offer fleeting connection. You share a meal with another watchman, cheese figs, and watered windar, the tower's shadow, swapping tales of battles past or grumbling about the city's neglect of its walls. The camaraderie is brief. Solitude defines your hours. You're a citizen trained to serve, but unlike hoplites, your role earns no glory. The Parthenon's construction, funded by Delian League tribute, dazzles below, but you remain apart, your post a lonely sentinel. Small rituals sustain you, a whispered prayer to Athena for clarity, or a pebble etched with her owl tucked into your cloak. The city's safety hinges on you, yet its citizens sleep unaware. Thucydides notes Athens' reliance on its defenses, but your vigilance goes unrecorded. As you stand through the night, the Acropolis looming behind you, the weight of your duty presses harder. The empire grows, its ships sailing to Sicily, its philosophers shaping thought, but your watch is endless. As dawn nears, the first light touching the Parthenon's marble, you wonder, will your silent guard ever be more than a shadow in Athens' golden age? The dawn breaks over Athens, its golden light bathing the Parthenon in 450 BCE. As you stand at your watchtower, your weary vigil unbroken, the question of whether your guard is merely a shadow in Athens' glory lingers as you near the end of a long shift, perhaps marking a season's service or a rare moment of recognition. Your role as a watchman has kept the polis safe, your eyes scanning the horizon through countless nights, yet the city's splendor feels distant. As you prepare to descend, you reflect on the silent weight of your duty and the legacy of your unseen watch. Your final task, this shift, is signaling the all clear, raising your shield to catch the sun's rays and flash a message to a distant post. The act, simple but precise, ensures the city's defenses remain coordinated. You've seen nothing, no Spartan scouts, no pirate sails yet. Your vigilance has preserved Athens' peace. Your horn remains silent, its bone polished from years of handling, a testament to nights spent ready but uncalled. Thucydides' histories praise Athens' walls, but your role, vital yet unsubredded, is a footnote. Your name lost among the masses who serve without statues. Life beyond the tower is fleeting. You descend to the city, joining a festival, perhaps the Panathenaea, where you blend into the crowd, eating honeyed cakes and watching processions to Athena's temple. Your family, if nearby, greets you with a meal of lentils and fish, a rare moment of warmth. But the watch's toll is clear. Your eyes, strained from years of peering into dusk, blur often, and your legs ache from standing. Medical texts from the period suggest salves for eyes or rest for joints, but your shifts allow little respite. Skeletal remains from Athenian cemeteries show signs of wear in older citizens. Your fate mirrored in their bones. The city thrives because of you. Your watch prevents surprise attacks, allowing trade to flow and democracy to flourish. The Parthenon, nearly complete, symbolizes Athens' ambition, but its marble was quarried and shipped under the safety you provide. Yet, the elite poets, generals, philosophers rarely acknowledge your post. Your pay, a handful of drachmae buys necessities, but no honor. Pottery fragments and inscriptions reveal watchmen's rosters, proof of your service. Yet no epic sings of your nights spent staring into the dark as you leave your tower. The city waking below, you feel the weight of your invisible legacy. In 2025, Athens' walls and Acropolis draw scholars and tourists who marvel at its golden age but rarely consider the watchmen who guarded it. Your life, though weary, ensured a civilization's safety, a quiet resilience that let Athens shine. The Parthenon endures, its columns standing tall, but your story, like the lamp you lit each night, flickers out unnoticed. What does it mean to guard a city's dreams, only to vanish from its memory? Story 8. The endless chores of a Hittite potter. You awaken to the faint light of dawn in Hattusa, the capital of the Hittite Empire, around 1400 BCE, where the scent of clay and wood smoke fills the air. As a potter, your hands shape the vessels that sustain daily life: jars for grain, cups for beer, and ritual bowls for the gods. Your work is a constant cycle of kneading, shaping, and firing, a craft essential to the city's households and temples, yet overlooked by the scribes and priests who record the empire's glory. This is the endless existence of a Hittite potter, where every pot you mold binds you to the rhythm of clay and fire. Your home is a modest mud brick dwelling near the city's lower quarter, its dirt floor swept clean, its walls lined with shelves of unfinished pots. Your possessions are simple: a straw mat for sleeping, a wooden stool, and a few tools: wooden scrapers, bone burnishers, and a clay water jug. Breakfast is quick barley, flatbread, and a sip of sour milk eaten as you head to your workshop, a small yard with a kickwheel and a pile of damp clay dug from the nearby riverbank. The city hums with activity, its massive stone walls looming, but your world is the clay beneath your fingers. Your day begins with preparing clay. You knead it with your feet, mixing in straw or sand to strengthen it, a task that leaves your legs aching. The wheel spins as you shape a storage jar, your hands guiding the clay into smooth curves, a skill honed since childhood. Precision is key. A flawed pot cracks in the kiln. The work is repetitive, your back hunched for hours, and the summer heat makes the clay sticky, clinging to your skin. You pause to scrape excess clay, saving it for smaller vessels. Hittite pottery, found in excavations, shows your craft's variety: jugs, bowls, even figurines, each marked by subtle patterns pressed with reeds or shells. Your role is vital but humble. Pots are needed for cooking, storing grain, or offerings to the storm god Tarhuna. You're likely a free artisan, paid in grain or wool. Though some potters are bound to temples, their work a form of tribute. Archaeological records from Hattusa reveal workshops like yours, with kilns and clay pits, and tablets listing pot deliveries to palaces. Breaks are brief. You share bread and onions with your apprentice, a young relative learning the trade, and discuss orders or gossip about the king's campaigns. The physical toll is steady: your hands cramp, your eyes strain, and clay dust irritates your lungs. The empire depends on your craft, yet you're invisible to its elite. Your pots carry food to tables and offerings to altars, but your name is never etched on tablets. As evening falls, You stack greenware and fired pots for tomorrow's kill, your workshop glowing with the day's labor. You return home, body weary, to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep comes quickly, but the clay's rhythm lingers in your dreams. And you wonder, does Hattusa, thriving on your vessels, ever see the hands that shape them? The question of whether Hattusa sees your hands lingers as you labor in your workshop. The sun climbing over the Hittite capital in 1400 BCE, your life as a potter is an endless cycle of shaping clay, firing kilns, and meeting the empire's demands for vessels. The city thrives on your work. Your pots store its grain, hold its wine, and grace its altars, yet you remain a shadow in its story. Each day deepens your bond with the clay, but also the burden of its repetitive toil. A craft that sustains a civilization while wearing down your body and spirit today. You're tasked with firing a batch of pots for a temple festival honoring Turhana. You stack the kiln, a dome of mud brick, with care, layering jars and bowls between straw to prevent sticking. Lighting the fire, you feed it wood and dung, the heat searing your face as you monitor the flames. Too hot and the pots crack. Too cool and they remain brittle. The process takes hours, your eyes stinging from smoke, your arms aching from hauling fuel. Hittite kilns, uncovered in excavations, show sophisticated designs with air vents for control. But the labor falls to you, your skill honed by years of trial and error. The workshop is your world, its air thick with clay dust and the temps of burning wood. You work alongside your apprentice, teaching them to smooth a pot's rim or incise patterns with a reed. The task is solitary yet communal. Other potters nearby shape their own wares, sharing tools or clay. Archaeological finds thousands of potsherds from Hattusa reveal your craft's scope. Cooking vessels, storage jars, even delicate cups for elites. Your pay, in grain or cloth, comes from local merchants or temple stewards, but much of your output is requisitioned, leaving little for profit. Breaks are short. You eat barley bread and figs, sipping water, and trade stories of the king's wars with Mitanni or complaints about late payments. The physical toll is constant. Your hands, rough with calluses, cramp from molding clay, and your back aches from bending over the wheel. Your lungs burn from dust and smoke, a common ailment among potters. As skeletal remains from Hittite sites show signs of respiratory issues and joint wear, medical care is limited. Herbal salves or rest, but the kiln waits for no one. Your status as an artisan grants some respect, but you're far below priests or warriors. Cuneiform tablets list pot deliveries, but never your name, your labor a silent necessity. Life offers small joys. Evenings bring you to your family, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and wild greens, and your children play with clay scraps, shaping crude figures. You might visit a shrine, offering a small pot to the gods for luck. But the workshop's rhythm is relentless. More clay, more pots, more fires. As you bank the kiln's embers, the city's torchlights flickering, you wonder, will the vessels you craft, holding the empire's lifeblood, ever carry the story of the hands that made them? The kiln's glow fades in your Hattusa workshop around 1400 BCE. As you complete a batch of pots for a temple festival, their clay now hardened into vessels that will serve the Hittite Empire. The question of whether your work carries your story lingers as you finish this season's labor. Your hands caked with clay, your body weary from endless chores, your pots, vital to the city's daily life and sacred rites, are a silent testament to your skill. Yet your name remains unrecorded. As you stack the cooled vessels, you reflect on the legacy of your craft and the unseen hands behind it. Your final task is decorating the pots, incising geometric patterns or animal motifs with a bone tool before they're delivered to the temple. The work demands precision. Sloppy designs could be rejected, costing you rations. You burnish a jar's surface with a smooth stone, your arms aching from the repetitive motion until it gleams in the fading light. Hittite excavations reveal such pots, intricate yet functional, used for offerings or feasts. Their craftsmanship admired centuries later, but the potters, like you, are anonymous. Their labor noted only in passing on cuneiform tablets listing temple supplies. Life in the workshop slows as the festival nears. You share a meal with your apprentice, barley porridge, dried dates, and a rare sip of beer, celebrating the kill's success. Laughter over a cracked pot or a merchant's odd request lightens the mood, but fatigue lingers. Your hands are scarred, your back stooped, and your lungs rasp from years of dust and smoke. Archaeological evidence from Hittite sites shows potters' skeletons with worn joints and respiratory damage, their lives often ending by 40. Medical care, herbal pastes, or prayers to the gods offers little relief, and the next batch of clay awaits. Your pots sustain Hattusa. They hold grain for families, wine for feasts, and offerings for Tarhana, binding the empire's daily and divine life. Yet the elite priests, nobles, the king reap the glory. Your pay in grain or wool supports your family, but the temple claims much of your output as tribute. A festival visit where your pots grace altars brings pride, but also a pang of invisibility. You leave a small clay figurine at a shrine, praying for strength. But the endless cycle of kneading, shaping, and firing looms as you clean your workshop. The city's walls glowing under moonlight. You feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Hittite pottery draws scholars to museums, their patterns studied as art, but the potter's stories are lost. Your life, though bound to clay, shaped a civilization's rhythm, a quiet resilience that filled its tables and temples. The pots endure, scattered across time, but your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the dust. What does it mean to craft the vessels of an empire, only to be lost in their shadow? Story 9, the relentless task of an Egyptian weaver. You rise with the sun in Thebes, around 1500 BCE, where the Nile's fertile banks hum with the life of Egypt's new kingdom. As a weaver, your hands craft the linen that clothes pharaohs, priests, and commoners, a vital trade in a land where cloth is currency and offering. Your days are a ceaseless rhythm of spinning flax, threading looms, and weaving under the weight of endless demand. This is the relentless existence of an Egyptian weaver, where every thread you weave binds you to the fabric of a civilization, yet leaves you unseen in its grandeur. Your home is a mud brick house in a worker's village, its walls cool against the desert heat, its floor packed earth. Your possessions are few: a straw mat for sleeping, a wooden spindle, and a clay jar for water. Breakfast is simple barley bread and a handful of dates eaten as you walk to your workshop, a shaded courtyard shared with other weavers. The air smells of river reeds and the faint musk of flax. You join your kin, women and men from the village, under the eye of an overseer who tracks your output for the temple or palace. Your work begins with preparing flax. You spin the fibrous stems into thread, your fingers twisting the spindle with practiced ease, a task that strains your wrists over hours. The loom, a simple horizontal frame staked to the ground, awaits. You thread it with care, ensuring the warp is taut. Weaving is slow, your shuttle passing back and forth, creating linen for tunics or temple offerings. The work is repetitive, your back aching from bending, and the sun's heat seeps through the awning. Egyptian reliefs and tomb paintings show weavers like you, their craft essential, yet their names unrecorded. Your role is crucial but humble. Linen is used for clothing, sails, and even wrapping mummies, as seen in archaeological finds from Deir el-Medina. You're likely a free artisan, paid in grain, oil, or cloth, though some weavers serve temples as part of tribute. Your output is measured in cubits, and errors a loose thread or uneven weave mean rework or docked rations. Breaks are brief. You share bread and beer with your crew, gossiping about the pharaoh's latest monument or the overseer's temper. The physical toll is steady, your fingers cramp, your eyes strain, and dust from flax irritates your throat. Thebes thrives on your work. Your linen dresses nobles, lines, temple altars, and sailboats down the Nile. Yet, you're invisible to the elite, your life confined to the village and loom. As evening falls, you return home, hands sore, to a meal of lentil stew and flatbread. The city's temples gleam in the distance, but your world is the thread's endless pull. Sleep comes quickly, though your fingers twitch with the day's rhythm, and you wonder, does Egypt, draped in your linen, ever see the hands that wove it? The question of whether Egypt sees your hands lingers as you sit at your loom in Thebes. Around 1500 BCE, the Nile's breeze barely easing the heat of your workshop. Your life as a weaver is a relentless cycle of spinning and weaving, each thread a silent contribution to the new kingdom's prosperity. Your linen clothes the living, shrouds the dead, and serves the gods, yet your labor goes unnoticed by the priests and nobles who wear your work. The deeper you delve into this craft, the more its repetitive strain and quiet importance weigh on you today. You're weaving a fine linen sheet for a temple offering to a man. The cloth so delicate, it requires your sharpest focus. You work the loom, passing the shuttle through taut warp threads, your fingers nimble but aching from hours of spinning flax into fine yarn. The process is slow, each row of weft demanding precision to avoid flaws that could anger the overseer. Your workshop, a shared courtyard, hums with the clack of looms and soft chatter of other weavers, mostly women, some your kin. Archaeological finds from Amarna and Deir el-Medina reveal looms like yours, simple but effective, and linen fragments that clothed pharaohs or wrapped mummies, testaments to your skill. The work is governed by quotas. Overseers, serving temple or palace, measure your output in cubits, their tallies scratched on papyrus or astrakhan. A single mistake, a dropped thread, or uneven edge means redoing hours of work, and your pay in grain or beer is docked for errors. Breaks are short. You share flatbread onions and a clay cup of beer with your fellow weavers, trading stories of the Nile's floods or complaints about tight deadlines. The physical toll grows. Your wrists throb from spinning, your back aches from hunching, and your eyes blur from squinting at fine threads in dim light. Your role ties you to Egypt's heart. Linen is wealth, traded as far as Crete and vital for sales, bandages, and sacred rites. Yet your status is low. You're a skilled artisan, but far from the elite. Tomb reliefs depict weavers, but their names are absent, their lives unrecorded, save in work rosters. Skeletal remains from workers' villages show signs of repetitive strain and early aging, your own hands mirroring their wear. Medical care is scarce herbal salves or rest, but the loom's rhythm waits for no one. Small joys sustain you. Evenings bring you to your family, where your children play with flax scraps, mimicking your spinning. You might visit a shrine, offering a woven band to Hathor for strength. But the work's demands are relentless: more thread, more cloth, more quotas. As you pause at dusk, the loom still before you, Thebes' temples glowing in the distance. You wonder, will the linen you weave, adorning Egypt's gods and kings, ever whisper of the hands that shaped it? The loom stands silent in your Thebes workshop around 1500 BCE. As you complete a batch of linen for the Temple of Ammon, its fine threads ready for priests' robes or sacred rites. The question of whether your work whispers of your hands lingers as you finish this season's labor. Your fingers worn, your body tired from relentless weaving. Your linen, vital to Egypt's daily and divine life, clothes its people and gods. Yet your name fades behind the cloth. As you fold the final piece, you reflect on the legacy of your craft and the unseen hands that wove it. Your last task is inspecting the linen, smoothing it with a stone to ensure a flawless finish. Each sheet must be perfect. Uneven weaves could be rejected, costing you grain or oil. You work carefully, your eyes strained from years of peering at fine threads, your hands cramped from spinning and shuttling. Archaeological finds from Thebes' linen fragments in tombs, looms in village ruins, show your craft's enduring value, used for everything from royal garments to mummy wrappings. Yet, papyri and astraca list only quantities, not the weaver's names. Your labor a silent thread in Egypt's story. The workshop quiets as the festival nears. You share a meal with your fellow weavers, flatbread lentils, and a rare taste of fish celebrating the completed order. Laughter over a broken shuttle or a merchant's haggling lifts your spirits, but exhaustion lingers. Your wrists ache, your back is stiff, and flax dust irritates your lungs. Skeletal remains from Deir el Medina reveal weavers' bodies worn by repetitive strain, their lives often ending by 40. Medical care, herbal pastes, or prayers to Hathor offers little relief. And the next quota looms. Your linen binds Egypt together. It sails ships, dresses nobles, and shrouds the dead, ensuring the gods' favor and the pharaoh's wealth. Yet the elite priests, scribes, royalty overlook your role. Your pay, in rations or cloth, sustains your family, but temple demands take much of your output. At the festival, you see your linen draped on altars, a quiet pride tempered by invisibility. You leave a small woven offering at a shrine, praying for endurance. But the loom's call is relentless. More flax, more thread, more cloth. As you clean your workshop, the Nile's reflection shimmering under moonlight, you feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Egyptian linen is studied in museums, its fineness marveled at, but the weaver's stories are lost. Your life, though relentless, wove the fabric of a civilization, a quiet resilience that clothed its gods and kings. The linen endures, adorning history, but your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the threads. What does it mean to weave the fabric of a civilization, only to vanish within its folds? Story 10. The tireless work of a Mesopotamian farmer. You rise before dawn in the fertile plains near Ur, around 2500 BCE, where the Euphrates River nourishes the fields that feed Sumer's bustling cities. As a farmer, your life is bound to the soil, coaxing barley, wheat, and dates from the earth to sustain families, temples, and kings. Your days are a ceaseless cycle of plowing, sowing, and irrigating under the scorching sun. A labor that underpins Mesopotamia's prosperity, yet leaves you tethered to the land's relentless demands. This is the tireless existence of a Mesopotamian farmer, where every furrow you dig shapes a civilization, but wears your body to the bone. Your home is a mud brick hut in a village near the fields, its reed roof offering scant shade. Your possessions are few: a straw mat for sleeping, a clay water jug, and a bronze sickle worn from use. Breakfast is quick barley porridge and a handful of dried dates eaten as you head to your plot, a small patch allocated by the temple or a local landlord. The air smells of damp earth and river reeds, and the distant hum of Ur's ziggurat signals the city's awakening. You join your neighbors, men and women bound by the season's tasks, under the eye of an overseer tracking your yield. Your work begins with irrigation. You wield a wooden hoe to clear silt from canals, ensuring water flows from the Euphrates to your fields. The task is grueling, your feet sinking into mud, your back aching under the sun's glare. Then, you plow with a wooden ard, guiding oxen to turn the soil, your arms straining against the earth's resistance. Sumerian seals and tablets depict farmers like you, their labor feeding cities like Ur and Lagash. Planting follows, scattering barley seeds in furrows, a task requiring precision to avoid waste. The sun climbs, and sweat stings your eyes. Your linen kilt, caked with mud, chafes your skin. Your role is vital but precarious. Fields belong to temples or elites, and you're likely a tenant farmer paying rent in grain or labor. Cuneiform tablets from your detailed crop quotas, with overseers tallying your harvest to ensure tribute. Errors poor, irrigation, or failed crops mean hunger or debt. Breaks are brief. You share flatbread and beer with your crew, muttering about floods or the temple's demands. The physical toll is heavier. Hands blister, your back aches, and river water breeds infections. Skeletal remains from the period show signs of arthritis and malnutrition. A farmer's life often ending by 40. Mesopotamia thrives on your toil. Your grain fills granaries, your dates sweeten tables, and your surplus funds the ziggurat's splendor. Yet you're invisible to the scribes and priests who record the king's deeds. As evening falls, you return home, body weary, to a meal of lentil stew and bread. Sleep is fitful. the earth's rhythm lingering, and you wonder, does your, nourished by your fields, ever see the hands that feed it? The question of whether your sees your hands lingers as you toil in the fields near the city. Around 2500 BCE, the Euphrates' muddy waters sustaining your crops. Your life as a Mesopotamian farmer is an unending cycle of sowing, tending, and harvesting, each task a lifeline for Sumer's cities. Yet, your labor fades into the soil's anonymity. The deeper you immerse in this work, the heavier its toll on your body, your spirit, and your fleeting hopes of recognition in a civilization built on your grain. Today, you're tending barley fields, weeding between rows with a flint hoe, your back bent under the relentless sun. The task is critical. Weeds steal water and nutrients, and a poor yield could mean starvation or debt to the temple. You check irrigation ditches, ensuring water reaches every furrow, your feet caked in mud. The work is repetitive, your hands blistered from gripping tools, and the heat saps your strength. Sumerian reliefs and tablets show farmers like you guiding plows or harvesting, their labor feeding yours, markets and ziggurats, but your name is never etched in clay. The fields are ruled by quotas. Overseers, serving temple or landlord, track your output, their tallies on cuneiform tablets, determining your rations. A failed crop due to drought or locusts good cost you your plot or force you into servitude. Your pay in grain, oil, or beer barely sustains your family, and much of your harvest goes to elites. Breaks are short. You share flatbread and dried fish with neighbors, trading stories of past floods or grumbling about the overseer's demands. Archaeological finds, like granary records from your reveal the scale of your work, but only as numbers, not lives. The physical toll mounts. Your joints ache from bending, your hands are scarred from sickle cuts, and river water breeds skin sores. Skeletal remains from Mesopotamian sites show farmers' bodies worn by labor, with signs of arthritis and malnutrition common by 40. Medical care herbal poultices or prayers to Ninkasi, goddess of beer, is scarce, and the fields demand your return. Your status as a tenant farmer grants little freedom. The land owns you as much as you work it, a truth etched in the clay tablets, listing debts and tributes. Taught community offers solace. Evenings bring you to your village, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and onions, and your children play with reeds, mimicking your hoeing. You might offer a handful of barley to Enlil at a small shrine, praying for rain, but the land's rhythm is unrelenting. More sowing, more weeding, more water. As you pause at dusk, the ziggurat's silhouette looming over your canoe, you wonder, will the grain you grow, feeding a civilization's heart, ever carry the story of the hands that tended it? The harvest is complete near your, around 2500 BCE, your barley fields now sheaves bound for the temple's granaries, a testament to your tireless labor. The question of whether your grain carries your story lingers as you finish the season's work. Your body worn from months of plowing, sowing, and reaping. Your crops feed Mesopotamia's cities, temples, and kings. Yet your name remains unrecorded, lost among the Sumerian elite's grandeur. As you stack the final bundles, you reflect on the legacy of your fields and the unseen hands that shaped them. Your last task is threshing, beating barley stalks with a flail to separate grain. your arms aching under the repetitive strain. You then winnow, tossing the grain to let the chaff blow away. A skill honed over years, but taxing on your lungs, irritated by dust. The work is precise. Lost grain means lost rations and overseers. Tally your yield on clay tablets. Archaeological finds, like yours, granary records and seals depicting harvests, show your labor's scale. Feeding thousands, yet only quantities, not farmers' names, endure in cuneiform. The village hums as the harvest ends. You share a meal with your neighbor's barley bread, dates, and a rare piece of goat meat, celebrating under the shade of a date palm. Laughter over a clumsy ox or a stingy overseer lightens the mood, but exhaustion lingers. Your back is stooped, your hands scarred from sickle cuts, and your knees ache from kneeling. Skeletal remains from Sumerian sites reveal farmers' bodies worn by toil. With malnutrition and joint damage common by 40, medical care, herbal salves, or prayers to Enlilofers little, and the next planting season looms. Your crops sustain Mesopotamia. They fill granaries, brew beer, and fund ziggurats, enabling scribes to write and priests to pray. Yet the elite kings, priests, merchants claim the glory. Your pay, in grain or oil, supports your family, but much of your harvest goes to temples as tribute. At a festival, you see your barley offered to the gods, a quiet pride tempered by anonymity. You leave a small clay figure at a shrine, praying for fertile soil. But the land's demands are relentless. More plowing, more sowing, more sweat as you clean your tools. The Euphrates glinting under moonlight, you feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Sumerian fields are studied as cradles of agriculture. Their yields marveled at, but the farmers' stories are lost. Your life, though tireless, fed a civilization's heart, a quiet resilience that nourished its growth. The grain endures, stored in history's records, but your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the soil. What does it mean to sow the seeds of a civilization only to vanish beneath its harvest? Story 11. The perilous life of a Phoenician sailor. You awaken to the creak of cedar planks and the tang of salt air aboard a Phoenician trading ship anchored off Tyre. Around 1000 BCE, as a sailor, your life is bound to the sea, navigating the Mediterranean to trade cedar, purple, dye, and glass for grain, metals, and wine. Your days are a relentless cycle of rowing, rigging, and weathering storms. Each voyage a gamble with the gods for survival and profit. This is the perilous existence of a Phoenician sailor, where every wave you ride fuels a maritime empire but risks your life in its depths. Your home is the ship, a sturdy vessel with a curved hull, its deck crowded with amphorae and coils of rope. Your possessions are few: a wool cloak, a bronze knife, and a leather water skin. Sleep is snatched on a straw mat below deck, rocked by the sea's sway. Breakfast is quick barley bread and dried fish eaten as you prepare to sail. The port of Tyre bustles with merchants and stevedores, but you join your crew, a mix of Tyrians, Sidonians, and hired hands, under the captain's sharp orders. The air smells of pitch and seaweed, the horizon calling. Your work begins with raising the sail, a square linen sheet straining against the wind. You haul ropes, your hands raw from hemp, and take your turn at the oars, rowing in rhythm to a drummer's beat. The ship heads for Cyprus, laden with cedar logs for trade. Navigation relies on stars, coastal landmarks, and your captain's knowledge. As Phoenician sailors were famed for their skill, noted in Egyptian texts, the sea is unpredictable, calm one moment, roiling the next. A sudden squall could capsize your vessel. Your muscles ache, and salt spray stings your eyes. A misstep on the slick deck could mean injury or worse. Your role is vital but dangerous. Phoenician trade networks, stretching from Egypt to Crete, rely on sailors like you, as evidenced by shipwrecks filled with amphorae and ingots. You're likely a free man, paid in goods or silver, but the sea spares no one noble or hireling. Breaks are brief. You share olives and wine with the crew, muttering about rough seas or the captain's temper. The physical toll is stark. Your hands blister, your back strains, and sun and salt crack your skin. Shipwreck remains show sailors' bones with signs of fractures and early aging. Lives often cut short by 40. Tyre's wealth grows with each voyage, its purple, dye, and cedar fueling empires. Yet you're a fleeting figure, your name unrecorded in the clay tablets that list cargoes. As evening falls, you secure the deck, the ship rocking gently, and eat a meal of lentil stew under the stars. Sleep is fitful, the sea's rhythm ever present, and you wonder, does Tyre, thriving on your voyages, ever see the hands that sail its seas? The question of whether Tyre sees your hands lingers as you grip the oars aboard your ship. The Mediterranean stretching vast and treacherous around 1000 BCE. Your life as a Phoenician sailor is a perilous dance with the sea. Each voyage, a test of endurance and skill to deliver goods that enrich Tyre's coffers. The waves carry your ship toward distant ports, but the relentless labor-rowing rigging and navigating binds you to a life of risk and anonymity. The deeper you sail into this existence, the heavier the sea's toll on your body and spirit. Today, you're navigating a trade route to Crete, the ship laden with purple-dyed cloth and glass beads. You adjust the sail, wrestling with ropes that burn your palms, and take your place at the oars, rowing through choppy waters. The captain, guided by stars and coastal cliffs, shouts orders, his voice barely audible over the wind. You scan the horizon for reefs or pirate sails, a constant threat noted in Ugaritic texts. A sudden storm could swamp the ship, and shipwrecks like those found off Uluburan reveal the peril's sunken cargoes of copper and amph, with sailors' bones scattered on the seabed. That the ship is your world, its cedar planks creaking under strain. You work with a tight-knit crew, sharing tasks and risks, but the labor is grueling. Your shoulders ache from rowing, your hands blister from ropes, and salt spray chafes your skin. Breaks are fleeting. You share dried fish and wine, swapping tales of distant ports, or cursing the sea's whims. Your pay, in silver or trade goods, is modest, but the voyage's success could mean extra rations. Archaeological evidence, Phoenician wrecks, and port records shows your trade's vast reach. Yet sailors' names are absent, their lives reduced to cargo lists. The physical toll is relentless. Your back strains from hauling, your eyes burn from squinting against the sun, and prolonged exposure risks dehydration or fever. Skeletal remains from coastal sites show sailors with worn joints and fractures. many dying before 40. Medical care is basic herbal salves or prayers to Baal, god of storms, but the sea waits for no one. Your role fuels Tyre's empire, linking Egypt, Cyprus, and beyond. But you're a shadow in its wealth, your labor uncelebrated by the merchants who profit. Small moments sustain you. At night, anchored off a rocky shore, you share a meal of barley stew with the crew, singing songs of Tyre's cliffs or joking about a clumsy rower. You might carve a small amulet for Baal, praying for calm seas. But the voyage's demands are unending. More rowing, more storms, more ports. As you lie on the deck, stars wheeling above, the ship's sway lulling you. You wonder, will the seas you cross, carrying Tyre's riches, ever bear the story of the hands that sailed them? The ship docks at Crete, its hold emptied of Tyrian goods and filled with Cretan wine and olive oil. Around 1000 BCE, the question of whether the seas bear your story lingers as you complete this voyage. Your body weary from weeks of rowing and battling waves. Your life as a Phoenician sailor has fueled Tyre's maritime empire, each journey a thread in its wealth. Yet your name remains unrecorded, lost among the cargo lists. As you secure the ship for the return to Tyre, you reflect on the perilous legacy of your labor and the hands that sailed it. Your final task is unloading amphorae, heavy with oil, onto the Cretan shore. You haul them with your crew, muscles straining, hands raw from ropes, under the captain's watchful eye. The work is precise. Broken jars mean lost profit, and merchants tallied the goods on clay tablets. Shipwrecks, like those off Cape Gelidonia, laden with ingots and pottery, show the scale of your trade. But sailors' names are absent, their lives buried in the sea's depths. Your pay, a share of silver or goods, sustains your family. But the voyage's dangers linger in your bones. The port buzzes as the journey ends. You share a meal with your crew, bread, olives, and wine, celebrating safe passage under Crete's starry sky. Laughter over a near miss with a reef or a captain's gruff order lightens the mood, but exhaustion is ever present. Your shoulders are knotted, your skin cracked from salt and sun, and your eyes ache from scanning horizons. Skeletal remains from Phoenician sites reveal sailors' bodies worn by labor, with fractures and early aging common by 40. Medical care, herbal wraps, or prayers to Bolivar's little, and the next voyage looms. Your voyages drive Tyre's power. Your ship carries cedar to Egypt, dye to Greece, building empires with each port. Yet the merchants and kings who profit see only the cargo, not the sailors. At a small shrine, you offer a shell to Baal, praying for safe winds. But the sea's risks are relentless storms, pirates, reefs, Phoenician inscriptions, praise, trade. But your role is a shadow, your labor uncelebrated. The camaraderie of your crew, forged in shared peril, is your anchor. Their songs of home, a fleeting comfort as you prepare to sail home. The sea, glinting under moonlight, you feel the weight of your invisible legacy. In 2025, Phoenician wrecks are studied as marvels of trade, their cargoes displayed in museums, but the sailors' stories are lost. Your life, though perilous, wove the threads of a maritime empire, a quiet resilience that crossed seas. The goods you carried endure in history's record, but your hands, scarred and forgotten, vanish beneath the waves. What does it mean to sail the seas of an empire, only to be lost in its depths? Story 12. The arduous craft of a Minoan metalworker. You awaken to the clang of distant hammers in Knossos, around 1600 BCE, where the Minoan civilization thrives on Crete's rugged shores. As a metalworker, your hands shape bronze tools, ornaments, and weapons that fuel trade and adorn palaces. Your days are a relentless cycle of smelting, hammering, and casting, each piece a testament to your skill in a society that reveres craftsmanship. This is the arduous existence of a Minoan metalworker, where every ingot you forge strengthens an island empire, but wears your body under heat and strain. Your home is a stone-walled house near the palace workshops, its dirt floor dusted with ash. Your possessions are sparse: a straw mat for sleeping, a clay water jug, and a set of stone molds. Breakfast is hasty barley bread and a handful of figseton as you head to the forge, a clay furnace glowing in a courtyard shared with other artisans. The air smells of charcoal and molten metal, and Knossos hums with the bustle of traders and scribes. You join your crew, a mix of locals and apprentices, under the overseer's watchful eye, tracking output for the palace. Your work begins with smelting copper and tin, hauled from distant Cyprus or Anatolia. As Minoan trade networks stretched far, evidenced by shipwreck finds, you feed the furnace with charcoal, bellows pumping to stoke the fire, your face seared by heat. Once molten, you pour the bronze into molds for daggers or tools, your arms trembling from the weight. Hammering follows, shaping blades on an anvil, a task requiring precision to avoid flaws. The work is grueling, your hands calloused, and sparks burn your skin. Minoan artifacts, bronze swords, figurines show your craft's finesse, but the labor is yours alone. Your role is vital but taxing. The palace demands tools for farmers, weapons for guards, and ornaments for elites, as seen in Knossos frescoes. You're likely a free artisan, paid in grain, oil, or cloth, but your work ties you to palace quotas. Errors a cracked mold, or weak blade mean rework or docked rations. Breaks are brief. You share bread and wine with your crew, muttering about the overseer's demands or gossiping about a new trade ship. The physical toll is heavy. Your lungs ache from smoke. Your joints strain from hammering, and burns scar your arms. Skeletal remains from Minoan sites show artisans' wear, lives often ending by 40. Knossos prospers on your craft, its palaces gleaming with bronze-inlaid treasures. Yet, you're invisible to the priests and nobles who wield your creations. As evening falls, you bank the forge's embers, your workshop glowing with the day's heat, and return home to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep is fitful, the hammer's rhythm lingering, and you wonder, does Crete, enriched by your bronze, ever see the hands that forged it? The question of whether Crete sees your hands lingers as you stoke the forge in Knossos. Around 1600 BCE, the heat of molten bronze searing your skin. Your life as a Minoan metalworker is an endless cycle of smelting, casting, and hammering, each piece fueling the island's trade and splendor. Your tools and ornaments adorn palaces and ships, yet your labor remains a shadow in the Minoan world, unnoticed by those who wield your creations. The deeper you delve into this craft, the more its physical and mental toll weighs on you today. You're crafting a bronze dagger for a palace guard, a task demanding precision. You pour molten bronze into a stone mold, your hands steady despite the heat, and wait for it to cool before hammering the blade into shape. The anvil rings with each strike, your shoulders aching from the force. You engrave a simple spiral, a Minoan motif seen in artifacts like those from Phaistos, using a bone tool to etch the soft metal. The forge's smoke stings your eyes, and charcoal dust coats your lungs. The workshop, a haze of heat and noise, shared with your crew. The forge is your domain. Its clay, furnace, and stone tools, a testament to your skill. You work alongside apprentices, teaching them to judge the fire's heat or polish a blade. Minoan linear A tablets, though undeciphered, list metal goods, hinting at your outputs, scale tools, weapons, jewelry for palaces and trade. Your pay, in grain or wine, comes from palace stewards, but quotas are strict. A flawed dagger means rework or lost rations. Breaks are short. You share olives and bread, trading tales of Cypriot traders or grumbling about the overseer's scrutiny. The work's rhythm is relentless, each piece a step in an endless dance. The physical toll is unforgiving. Your hands are scarred from burns, your back strains from lifting ingots, and your lungs rasp from smoke. Skeletal remains from Knossos show metalworkers' bones, worn by repetitive strain, many dying by 40. Medical care, herbal salves, or prayers to a mother goddess's scarce, and the forge demands your return. Your status as an artisan earns respect, but you're far below the palace elite. Your labor noted only in tallies, not names. Small joys sustain you. Evenings bring you to your family, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and fish, and your children play with clay scraps, mimicking your molds. You might offer a bronze bead at a shrine, praying for strength, but the forge's call is unending: more metal, more fire, more blades. As you pause at dusk, the palace's frescoes glowing in the distance, you wonder, will the bronze U-shape adorning Crete's glory ever carry the story of the hands that forged it? The forge's embers cool in your Knossos workshop around 1600 BCE. As you complete a set of bronze tools for the palace, their polished edges gleaming for farmers and guards. The question of whether your bronze carries your story lingers as you finish this season's labor. Your hands scarred, your body weary from relentless forging. Your craft powers Minoan trade. As you clean the anvil, you reflect on the legacy of your work and the unseen hands that shaped it. Your final task is polishing a bronze axe, smoothing its surface with a stone to ensure a sharp, flawless edge. The work demands a flawed tool could be rejected, costing you rations. You engrave a bull motif, a Minoan symbol seen in artifacts from Malaya, your fingers aching from the delicate work. Archaeological finds, bronze hoards, daggers, and jewelry reveal your craft's role in Knossos wealth, but linear A tablets list only goods, not artisans. Your labor, vital to palace and trade, is a silent thread in Crete's story. The workshop quiets as the season ends. You share a meal with your crew: barley porridge, olives, and a rare sip of wine, celebrating under the workshop's awning. Laughter over a mispowered mold or a merchant's odd request lifts the mood, but fatigue lingers. Your hands bear burn scars, your lungs rasp from smoke, and your joints ache from years of hammering. Minoan skeletal remains show artisans wear fractured bones, early aging lives, often ending by 40. Medical care, herbal pastes, or prayers to a snake goddess offers little, and the next order awaits. Your bronze binds, creates prosperity. Your tools till fields, your weapons guard palaces, and your ornaments adorn elites, fueling trade with Egypt and Anatolia. Yet the palace scribes and priests who record Minoan glory overlook your role. Your pay, in grain or cloth, sustains your family, but much of your output goes to the palace. At a festival, you see your bronze on display, a quiet pride tempered by anonymity. You leave a small bronze offering at a shrine, praying for endurance. But the forge's rhythm is relentless. More ingots, more fire, more tools as you sweep the workshop. Knossos frescoed walls glowing under moonlight. You feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Minoan bronzes are studied in museums, their craftsmanship admired, but the metalworkers' stories are lost. Your life, though arduous, forged a civilization's strength, a quiet resilience that armed its fields and halls. The bronze endures, shining through history, but your hands, scarred and forgotten, fade into the forge's ashes. What does it mean to forge the strength of a civilization, only to vanish in its gleam? Story 13. The silent toil of a Babylonian scribe. You awaken in the shadow of Babylon's ziggurat, around 1800 BCE, where the city pulses with the commerce and faith of Hammurabi's empire. As a scribe, your stylus shapes the clay tablets that record laws, trades, and hymns, preserving the heartbeat of Mesopotamia. Your days are a ceaseless cycle of writing, calculating, and teaching. Each wedge a mark of your skill in a society that reveres knowledge. This is the silent toil of a Babylonian scribe, where every tablet you inscribe binds a civilization but confines you to its quiet margins. Your home is a mud brick house near the temple district, its walls lined with shelves for tablets. Your possessions are few: a reed mat for sleeping, a clay lamp, and a bundle of sharpened styluses. Breakfast is simple barley bread and a sip of biridin as you head to the Adupa, the scribal school, where you work and train apprentices. The air smells of dust and baked clay, and Babylon hums with merchants and priests. You join your fellow scribes, men trained since youth, under the temple's oversight, your work destined for archives or altars. Your day begins with drafting a contract for a barley sale, pressing cuneiform wedges into soft clay with a reed stylus. The task demands precision. Errors could void a D. Land your eyes strain over the tablet's surface. You calculate quantities using Sumerian numerals, a skill honed through years of study. Cuneiform tablets from Babylon, thousands excavated, show your work's range, legal codes, hymns, even astronomical records. The labor is meticulous, your fingers cramped from gripping the stylus, and the dim light of the Iduba taxes your vision. Your role is vital but understated. Scribes, like you, often temple-trained, record Hammurabi's laws and merchants' trades, as seen in the code's stela. You're likely a free man, paid in grain or silver, but your work serves the elite priests, nobles, kings. Errors invite reprimands or lost pay. Breaks are brief, you share dates and bread with apprentices, discussing royal decrees or correcting their wedgework. The physical toll is subtle. Your hands ache, your eyes blur, and hunching over tablets strains your back. Skeletal remains from the period show scribes' finger joints worn from writing. Lives often ending by 50. Babylon thrives on your records, its laws and commerce etched in clay. Yet you're a shadow in its glory, your name rarely on the tablets you craft. As evening falls, you seal a finished tablet, its clay hardening for posterity, and return home to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep is restless, the stylus rhythm lingering, and you wonder, does Babylon, built on your words, ever see the hands that wrote them? The question of whether Babylon sees your hands lingers as you sit in the Aduba around 1800 BCE, the faint glow of a clay lamp illuminating your clay tablet. Your life as a scribe is a silent grind of inscribing, teaching, and preserving the records that sustain Hammurabi's empire. Your cuneiform wedges capture laws, trades, and prayers, yet your labor remains unseen by the kings and priests who rely on it. The deeper you delve into this craft, the more its meticulous demands and quiet toll weigh on your body and mind. Today, you're copying a hymn to Marduk for the temple. Your reed, stylus pressing precise wedges into soft clay. Each sign must be flawless. Errors could anger priests and your fingers cramp from the stylus grip. You recite the text aloud, a habit from years of memorizing Sumerian and Akkadian, ensuring accuracy. The Aduba hums with apprentices practicing wedges on scrap clay, their errors corrected by your sharp eye. Excavated tablets from Babylon hymns contracts. Even mathematical texts show your craft's breadth, but your name is absent. Your role, a shadow in the temple's archives. The work is governed by precision. You calculate land measurements or trade sums using clay tokens and mental arithmetic, skills taught since childhood. Your output, tallied by temple overseers, serves merchants or priests, and mistakes mean rework or docked rations. Your pay, in grain or oil, supports your family, but the temple claims much of your time. Breaks are short. You share beer and flatbread with fellow scribes, debating a new law or jesting about an apprentice's sloppy wedges. The physical toll grows, your eyes strain in dim light, your back aches from hunching, and your hands throb from writing. Skeletal remains of scribes show worn finger joints and spinal strain. Lives often fading by 50. Your words bind Babylon. Your tablets record Hammurabi's code, track grain, and honor gods, enabling trade and faith. Yet, you're a tool of the elite, your status below priests or nobles. Cuneiform archives, like those from Sippar, list your work, but not your life. Medical care, herbal teas, or prayers to Gula, goddess of healing, is limited, and the Iduba's demands persist. Your training, a privilege, sets you apart from farmers. But the toil is no less relentless. Your days consumed by clay and ink. Small joys sustain you. Evenings bring you to your family, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and fish, and your children mimic your stylus with sticks. You might offer a clay seal to Marduk, praying for clarity. But the Aduba calls more tablets, more wedges, more records. As you pause at dusk, Babylon ziggurat towering above, you wonder, will the words you write, etching a civilization's soul, ever carry the the story of the hands that shaped them. The Iduba falls silent in Babylon around 1800 BCE. As you finish a tablet recording a merchant's grain trade, its clay hardening for the temple's archives. The question of whether your words carry your story lingers as you complete this season's labor. Your hands cramped, your eyes weary from countless wedges. Your cuneiform preserves Hammurabi's Empirit's laws, trades, and gods, yet your name fades behind the clay's permanence. As you seal the final tablet, you reflect on the legacy of your craft and the silent hands that shaped it. Your last task is teaching an apprentice, guiding their stylus to form clean wedges for a royal decree. The work demands patience. Sloppy signs could misrepresent the king's will, and your voice is hoarse from reciting texts. You check their tablet, correcting angles, your fingers aching from years of pressing clay. Excavated archives from Babylon, hymns, even star charts, all vital to the empire's order. But scribes' names are rare, your labor a footnote in the priest's and king's glory. The scribal school slows as the day ends. You share a meal with colleagues, barley bread, dates, and a rare piece of fish, celebrating a completed archive under the Iduba's lamplight. Laughter over an apprentice's error or a merchant's odd request lifts the mood, but fatigue lingers. Your eyes blur from dim light, your back is stiff from hunching, and your fingers throb from stylus work. Skeletal remains of scribes show worn joints and spinal wear. Lives often ending by 50. Medical care, herbal brews, or prayers to Gulafors. Little, and the next tablet awaits. Your words sustain Babylon. Your tablets codify laws, track commerce, and honor Marduk, enabling the empire's justice and wealth. Yet the elite priests, nobles, kings claim the credit. Your pay, in grain or silver, supports your family, but the temple takes much of your time. At a festival, you see your tablets used in rituals, a quiet pride tempered by anonymity. You leave a clay seal at a shrine, praying for wisdom. But the Iduba's rhythm is relentless. More writing, more teaching, more clay. As you clean your stylus, Babylon's ziggurat glowing under moonlight, you feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, cuneiform tablets are studied as windows into Mesopotamia. Their words revered, but the scribes' stories are lost. Your life, though silent, etched a civilization's soul, a quiet resilience that ordered its world. The tablets endure, preserved in history, but your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the clay. What does it mean to inscribe the soul of a civilization, only to vanish behind its words? Story 14, the unseen labor of an Indus Valley brickmaker. You rise with the dawn in Mohenjo-Daro, around 2500 BC, where the Indus River's muddy banks fuel the kilns that shape a thriving urban civilization. As a brickmaker, your hands mold the sun-baked and fired bricks that build homes, granaries, and great baths, the backbone of the city's order. Your days are a relentless cycle of mixing clay, shaping molds, and firing kilns. Each brick, a foundation for the Indus Valley's prosperity. This is the unseen labor of a brickmaker, where every block you craft supports an empire but buries you in its dust. Your home is a mud brick hut on the city's edge, its reed roof sagging under the heat. Your possessions are few: a straw mat for sleeping, a clay water pot, and a wooden paddle for mixing. Breakfast is quick barley flatbread and a handful of dates eaten as you head to the kill yard, a dusty plot near the river. The air smells of wet clay and smoke, and Mohenjo-Daro hums with traders and artisans. You join your crew, men and women from nearby villages, under the overseer's eye, tracking bricks for the city's projects. Your work begins with digging clay from the riverbank, your feet sinking into the muck. You mix it with straw and water, kneading it with your hands and feet, a grueling task that strains your legs. You press the mixture into wooden molds, shaping uniform bricks standardized as excavations reveal for precise construction. The sun beats down, drying the bricks, or you stack them in a kiln, feeding it wood and dung. The heat sears your skin, and precision is key. Uneven bricks are rejected. Indus Valley sites like Harappa show millions of such bricks, building cities without your name. Your role is essential but lowly. Bricks form Mohenjo-Daro's streets, drains, and walls, supporting trade and sanitation. Yet, you're a laborer, paid in grain or cloth. Errors, cracked bricks, or misfired kilns mean rework or lost rations. Breaks are brief. You share bread and lentils with your crew, muttering about the overseer or river floods. The physical toll is heavier. Hands blister, your back aches, and clay dust clogs your lungs. Skeletal remains from the period show laborers' joints, worn by 40, with little medical care beyond herbal salves or prayers. The city rises on your bricks, its great bath and granaries, marvels of the age. Yet, you're invisible to the merchants and priests who thrive within its walls. As evening falls, you bank the kill's fire, the yard glowing with heat, and return home to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep is fitful, the clay's weight lingering, and you wonder, does Mohenjo-Daro, built on your bricks, ever see the hands that shaped it? The question of whether Mohenjo-Daro sees your hands lingers as you kneel in the kill yard. Around 2500 BCE, the Indus River's breeze barely easing the heat of your labor. Your life as a brickmaker is an endless grind of digging clay, molding bricks, and firing kilns, each block a foundation for the city's order and trade. Your work builds homes and drains, yet you remain a shadow in the Indus Valley's story, unnoticed by those who walk its streets. The deeper you delve into this toil, the heavier its toll on your body and spirit today. You're preparing a batch of bricks for a new granary, a vital structure for storing barley and wheat. You haul clay from the river, your arms straining under the weight, and knead it with straw, your feet sinking into the sticky mix. You press the clay into molds, ensuring each brick is uniform. Indus Valley excavations show precise measurements, a hallmark of the civilization's planning. Stacking the kill, you feed it wood and dung, the fire's heat scorching your face. A misfired brick could crack, wasting hours, and overseers tally your output for the city's elite. The kill yard is your world, its air thick with smoke and dust. You work with a crew, teaching apprentices to smooth molds or tend fires. Archaeological finds kilns and brick stacks at Harappa reveal your labor's scale, building cities across the Indus Plain. Your pay, in grain or cloth, comes from city stewards, but quotas are strict. A cracked batch means docked rations. Breaks are short. You share flatbread and dates, swapping tales of floods or grumbling about the overseer's demands. The work's rhythm is relentless, each brick a step in an endless task. The physical toll is punishing. Your hands are raw from clay, your back aches from lifting, and your lungs burn from dust and smoke. Skeletal remains from Mohenjo-Daro show laborers' spines and joints worn by 40 with signs of respiratory strain. Medical care, herbal pastes, or riverbank prayers is scarce, and the kill demands your return. Your status as a laborer earns little respect. You're a cog in the city's machine, far below merchants or priests. Your work noted only in brick counts, not names. Small joys sustain you. Evenings bring you to your family, where your wife prepares a stew of lentils and greens, and your children play with clay scraps, shaping tiny bricks. You might offer a reed to a river deity, praying for strength, but the yard's call is unending: more clay, more molds, more fire. As you pause at dusk, the city's walls rising around you, you wonder, will the bricks you shape, holding up a civilization, ever carry the story of the hands that made them? The kill's fire fades in your Mohenjo-Daro yard, around 2500 BCE, as you stack a final batch of bricks for a city wall, their uniform shapes ready for builders. The question of whether your bricks carry your story lingers as you complete this season's labor. Your hands raw, your body weary from endless toil. Your work fortifies the Indus Valley's cities, yet your name vanishes behind the walls you help raise. As you sweep the yard, you reflect on the legacy of your craft and the unseen hands that built it. Your last task is inspecting the bricks, checking for cracks or flaws that could weaken a structure. You smooth a rough edge with a stone, your arms aching from days of molding and firing. Precision is vital. Faulty bricks are rejected, costing you grain. Archaeological finds, like the millions of standardized bricks at Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, show your labor's role in urban planning, from drains to great baths. Yet, no script like Mesopotamia's cuneiform records your name, only the city's order, leaving your story buried in the clay. The yard quiets as the season ends. You share a meal with your crew, flatbread, lentils, and a rare sip of beer, celebrating under a tamarind tree. Laughter over a collapsed mold or a stingy overseer lifts the mood, but exhaustion lingers. Your hands are scarred, your lungs rasp from dust, and your back is stiff from hauling clay. Skeletal remains from Indus sites show laborers' bodies worn by 40 with joint damage and respiratory issues. Medical care, herbal salves, or prayers by the river offers little, and the next kill awaits. Your bricks sustain Mohenjo-Daro. They build homes, granaries, and walls, enabling trade and sanitation for thousands. Yet, the elite merchants, priests, or city planners reap the glory. Your pay in grain or cloth supports your family, but much of your output goes to civic projects. At a festival, you see your bricks in new walls, a quiet pride tempered by anonymity. You leave a clay shard by the river, praying for endurance. But the yard's rhythm is relentless: more clay, more bricks, more fire as you clean your tools. The city's silhouette glowing under moonlight. You feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Indus Valley bricks are studied as engineering marvels, their precision admired, but the brickmakers' stories are lost. Your life, though unseen, built a civilization's foundation, a quiet resilience that raised its cities. The bricks endure, standing through history. But your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the dust. What does it mean to build the foundation of a civilization, only to vanish beneath its walls? Story 15. The relentless task of an Akkadian merchant. Awaken to the clamor of donkeys and traders in the bustling market of Akkad. Around 2300 BCE, where the Akkadian Empire thrives along the Tigris and Euphrates. As a merchant, your life is a constant journey, trading barley, wool, and bronze for spices, lapis lazuli, and cedar across distant cities. Your days are a relentless cycle of bartering, traveling, and record-keeping, each deal fueling the empire's wealth. This is the arduous existence of an Akkadian merchant, where every trade you make binds a civilization but wears your spirit with its risks. Your home is a mud brick house near Akkad's market, its courtyard stacked with good sacks of grain, jars of oil. Your possessions are modest: a reed mat for sleeping, a clay tablet for accounts, and a bronze scale for weighing silver. Breakfast is quick flatbread and dried dates eaten as you head to the market, where the air smells of dust and spices. You join your caravan, a mix of drivers and guards, under the scrutiny of a scribe, tallying your trade for the palace. The city pulses with life, its ziggurat looming overhead. Your day begins with bartering for wool from a northern trader, weighing silver shekels on your scale to seal the deal. You record the transaction on a clay tablet, pressing cuneiform with a stylus, a skill learned for trade. The market is chaotic: shouts, donkey brays, and haggling, but precision is vital. A bad deal could mean loss or debt. Akkadian tablets, unearthed in Ebla and Mari, show your trade's reach, linking Mesopotamia to Dilmun and beyond. The work is tense, your mind racing to calculate value, and the sun's heat saps your strength as you load goods onto donkeys. Your role is crucial but perilous. Merchants like you connect cities, bringing wealth to Akkadi, as seen in Sargon's inscriptions boasting trade. You're likely a free man, earning silver or goods, but risks bandits, failed deals, or storms threaten ruin. Breaks are brief. You share beer and bread with your caravan, swapping tales of distant markets or cursing a cheating trader. The physical toll is steady. Your feet ache from travel, your hands cramp from writing, and dust irritates your eyes. Skeletal remains from the period show merchants' worn joints, lives often ending by 50. ACD prospers on your trades, its palaces filled with exotic goods. Yet, you're a fleeting figure, your name rarely on the tablets you keep. As evening falls, you secure your goods, the market quieting, and return home to a meal of lentil stew. Sleep is restless, the weight of tomorrow's journey lingering, and you wonder, does ACOD, enriched by your trades, ever see the hands that bartered its wealth? The question of whether ACD sees your hands lingers as you guide your caravan through the dusty trails beyond the city. Around 2300 BCE, the Tigris glinting in the distance. Your life as a merchant is a relentless cycle of travel, barter, and survival. Each journey knitting the Akkadian Empire's wealth across Mesopotamia. Your trades bring lapis from Dilmun and cedar from the north. Yet your labor remains a shadow, unnoticed by the kings who hoard your goods. The deeper you venture into this life, the heavier its risks and tolls weigh on you today. You're leading a caravan to Sipper, trading bronze tools for grain. You check the donkeys, ensuring sacks of tools are secure, and haggle with a local scribe to record the deal on a clay tablet. The road is treacherous, bandits lurk, and dust storms can blind your path. You navigate by landmarks and stars, a skill learned from older traders, as Akkadian tablets from Canish describe far-flung routes. The work is grueling, your feet blistered from walking, your shoulders aching from carrying goods when a donkey falters, and the sun's glare taxes your strength. The caravan is your world, its creaking loads and weary guards your companions. You teach a young driver to tally goods, ensuring no loss goes unrecorded. Excavated tablets reveal your trade's scopewool, metals, spices fueling akkods, markets, but your name is absent, a mere tally of goods. Your pay in silver or oil comes from successful deals, but a failed trade could mean debt or ruin. Breaks are short. You share flatbread and dried fish, joking about a stingy buyer or cursing the heat. The journey's rhythm is relentless, each step a gamble with fortune. The physical toll is unforgiving. Your joints ache from travel, your eyes strain from dust, and long journeys risk fever or injury. Skeletal remains from Akkadian sites show merchants' bodies worn by 50, with signs of malnutrition and stress fractures. Medical care, herbal salves, or prayers to Shamash is scarce, and the road demands your return. Your status as a merchant earns some respect, but you're below the palace elite. Your work noted only in trade logs, not tales of glory. Small joys sustain you. At camp, you share a meal of barley stew with your crew, singing of akkods, rivers, or laughing at a donkey's stubbornness. You might offer a clay token to Shamash, praying for safe passage. But the road's call is unending. More trades, more trails, more risks. As you pause at dusk, Sipper's walls faintly visible, you wonder, will the goods you carry, enriching a civilization, ever carry the story of the hands that traded them? The caravan halts in Sipper around 2300 BCE. Your bronze tools traded for sacks of grain, ready for akkods markets. The question of whether your trades carry your story lingers as you complete this journey. Your body weary from weeks of travel and bartering, your work weaves the Akkadian Empire's wealth, linking cities with goods. Yet your name fades behind the tablets that record your deals. As you prepare for the return, you reflect on the legacy of your trade and the unseen hands that drove it. Your final task is checking the grain, ensuring no sacks are torn or short-weighted. A meticulous job under the scribe's eye. You record the trade on a clay tablet, your stylus pressing cuneiform, each wedge a mark of your deal's success. Precision is vital. Miscalculation could spark disputes or loss. Excavated tablets from Akkad and Mari show your trades reach spices, wool, metals, fueling the empire. But merchants' names are rare, their lives reduced to numbers. Your pay, in silver or goods, sustains your family. But the journey's risks linger in your bones. The market quiets as the trade concludes. You share a meal with your caravan flatbread lentils and a rare piece of goat meat. Laughter over a tricky haggle or a stubborn donkey lifts the mood, but exhaustion is ever present. Your feet are blistered, Your back aches from carrying loads, and your eyes sting from dust. Skeletal remains from Akkadian sites show merchants' worn joints and early aging, lives often ending by 50. Medical care herbal wraps or prayers to Shama chauffeurs little, and the next journey looms. Your trades bind Akkod's empire. Your goods fill its markets, adorn its palaces, and fund its wars, as seen in Sargon's boasts of conquest. Yet the kings and scribes who record glory overlook your role. At a festival, you see your grain in temple offerings, a quiet pride tempered by anonymity. You leave a clay token at a shrine, praying for safe roads. But the trade's demands are relentless: more journeys, more deals, more risks. The camaraderie of your caravan, forged in shared hardship, is your anchor. Their songs of home a fleeting comfort as you load the donkeys. Sipper's walls glowing under moonlight. You feel the weight of your uncelebrated legacy. In 2025, Akkadian trade routes are studied as marvels of commerce. Their goods displayed in museums, but the merchant's stories are lost. Your life, though relentless, wove a civilization's wealth, a quiet resilience that linked its cities. The goods you traded endure in history's record, but your hands, worn and forgotten, fade into the dust of the trails. What does it mean to trade the wealth of a civilization only to vanish in its markets?